Yeah. Equinox tape. Man, I love this shit so much. Like, I just want to thank everybody from the heart, like, for checking out Soul Patch New Orleans, man. That shit just meant a lot to me, you know what I'm saying? But I just want to give my shout outs, like, shout out to the Soul Group, shout out to Visionaire, shout out to my little brother and sister, shout out to all my homies back home. You already, man, we gonna kick it off right. Let's get it. Back in this, I'm racking up, no pulling out of life a bitch, she bad as fuck. Suck me up and eat her out, fuck her good. While I'm here, I'm gonna fuck giving up. I got too much on the line, took a minute just to clear my mind. When I die, there won't be no overtime. These niggas on demon time. I'ma go for my life up when they bust the nine, bust the door wide open, bust around to make minds golden. Like every verse is just an ibuprofen. I'ma heal the world with every input, depth to those spreading omens. Don't need condolences for my opponents. They was DOA with their mouth open, now they mouth swollen. I don't give a fuck if a mask on, stay Muslim dumb. I'ma keep my mind free all the time. It's autumn time, so the flow sicker. Eat a rap nigga like a pot sticker. Me and my niggas gon' like hill figure. I'ma own it all. These other niggas, they falling off. I'm bossing up, they rolling up like good pets. No hotel, but I hold text like mad raps. I'm too in depth for the surface level. I'm 6 feet plus 3 deep. That's too much for a fucking shovel. I done played the devil and kid. Either way, man, I ain't having it. Ooh, got the juice, got me loose. Now it's triple loose. Pull up to the party like I'm Cardi. It ain't nothing new. Ooh, got the juice, got me loose. Now it's triple deuce. Pull up to the party like I'm Cardi. It ain't new. Ooh, got the juice, got me loose. Now it's triple deuce. Pull up to the party like I'm Cardi. It ain't nothing new. Ooh, got the juice, got me loose. Now it's triple deuce. Pull up to the party like I'm Cardi. It ain't nothing new. For those who don't know, this is Equinox, a tip another scale, a transition of the season, a change of heart. Yeah.
What up? It's your boy Dave B. You watch your Dave B on TV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a basis. Today we breaking down some astrology you already know. You know what I'm saying? So we back here for the Equinox, you know what I'm saying? We going into Libra season. Oh, snap. You know what I'm saying? It's a Libra season, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about this transition in between seasons. You know, we just finished out Virgo season. Shout out to Mama Nova, you know what I'm saying? Doing it early, you know what I'm saying, bright and early. But we transit energy, you know what I'm saying. Yesterday we had the moon in Taurus. The moon is currently, I think it's that's like 1 degree Gemini, 29 degrees Virgo. But I think later today it's actually going to cross over, because this is the Equinox day. I mean, regardless, you know what I'm saying, we still deal with a little cusp energy. But we're going to talk about what that transition is, you know what I'm saying, coming off of Virgo energy. You know what I'm saying? Now, a lot of people were saying that Virgo did them well, and I'll agree. I'm like, for me, Virgo, but it was a lot of work, a lot of concentration. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things need to get done, and you know, you had to make it really your priority to stay focused and remain locked into whatever you was doing. But chances are, coming out of Virgo season, you feel the seriousness, you know what I'm saying? You understand how serious things really are for yourself. And if you don't, you know what I'm saying, everybody going through something different. But for the people who, especially people going through their Saturn returns, y'all know it's like a certain tone, a certain energy that kind of is like us now, you know what I'm saying, where there's a maturity you have to approach life with. Not everybody be in that space, but for the most part, on a spiritual level, how we shifting and how things are moving, and you know, even how we interact with each other, you know, it's a lot more that needs to go into these things, especially representing going into Libra. Is all about communication. It's all about relating, balancing, you know what I'm saying. We have to take a lot of what we've experienced and what we've had to grow through, and we have to bring that into the way we start to re-engage in some of these relationships. You know what I'm saying? We have to take into consideration things that have kind of turned our life down, and we have to now find a way that we can balance with how we want to approach others and get engaged again, reconnected with the world. Because see, the thing about the first half of the zodiac, the season through Virgo season, is a lot of things are more self, you know what I'm saying. But now in Libra, this is where we have to we get to a point where we almost have to depend on others, you know. And even if you are alone during these, you know, it's a reason for that. And a lot of times we're given to reflect on the fact that I gotta turn this hotspot off. We take a minute to reflect on the fact that damn, I need help, or I'm going through something. You start to reflect on why you don't have people around you that you can connect to or relate with. regardless. That happens every Libra season. That's why they associate the fall time, October, November, as like cuffing season and things like that, because there's a natural inclination to want to link up and connect with others who you know, can make you feel more balanced, or you know, secure. Some people do it for security reasons and things like that, but you know, it is what it is. You said painful truths birthing new thoughts, right? That's exactly what it is, really. And see, it's like, I think we have Mercury still in Virgo too, so you know, the things on our mind, it was about kind of just showing you, yeah, like painful truths being just what reality is at the moment, and what we have to start to pick up the pieces, and things that we had to break apart and separate from. You know, that all deals with Virgo, with Virgo into Libra too, because Libra is having to accept the details, having to look at these details and say, okay, yeah, okay, if this is the reality of things, then okay, yeah, I need to start to you know, initiate some better ways or new ways that we can go about balancing things based upon the new information I have, you know. And everybody's Virgo season with new information. If you planted the right seeds, that information is going to be something you could work with and utilize in a way that's more smooth and makes a lot of sense. You planted bad seeds, what you're leaving Virgo with might be an extreme amount of self-doubt. All those painful truths are more so just you seeing ways you fucked up, and with things you didn't take care of, things you wasn't. And so a lot of people who might have been doing, you know, all kinds of different things, let's say you in Virgo season and you got distracted and you wasn't consistent in the areas of life you needed to be. Instead, you chose the things that was going to give you more instant gratification, or you chose to make you feel more comfortable. Again, you was too afraid to maybe step outside comfort zone, or maybe in general you wasn't taking life and your responsibilities as serious as you were supposed to. Well, the result of that is looking at Libra, and sudden you don't really have a lot of leverage. You don't have a lot of energy and balance and ability. You know, you said video. Yo, I appreciate you, bro. Yeah, I noticed that. I think it's like the locations I be at. I think the way it is, even when I chop up videos after that, I usually notice, because I'll chop up a video and be like, damn, this shit like jumping all over the place. Yo, is it skipping right now? Is it kind of choppy? Let me know if it's choppy right now. Because actually, matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and move. He said, yes, it be going in and out. Damn. Actually, it is. All right, bet. I'm gonna move around a little bit. Let's see if it's cool. He said it's a beautiful location. Yeah, I'll be stay at this park. But hold on. We're gonna try it over here. Something like that. Just so you know we can get some, see if we can make it work. But like I was saying though, when it comes to and y'all, yeah, I appreciate y'all letting me know. If it's still crazy, then just let me know, and I'll try to fix it. But for the most part, you know, going into, like I was saying, going through Libra season, you know, it's all about taking all of those details. He said the whole area, ain't it? Yeah, I don't know. Let me see. But he said it's worse. He said I was still listening though. I'ma see yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it don't. You said, let me see. But
back when it's like I was saying, no, Virgo going into Libra. The main takeaway is, like I was saying, like if you was losing focus, if you wasn't really doing your best to, because see, with the thing with Virgo too, like I was saying about focus, and you know, even when we're dealing with Earth energy in general, it's all about patience. You know what I'm saying? You gotta concentrate. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of things is kind of going in and out of your head. That's just how Virgo works. Virgo is a mutable Earth energy. So the test in Virgo comes from knowing how to manage those things. It's almost like if you think of like little rocks, you know what I'm saying? Somebody throwing real tiny rocks at you. It's like it's not really hurting you, but based upon you trying to, dodge everything, it's like it's almost like you gotta understand that like the little things that might be getting thrown at you aren't the end of the world. So that's the thing with Virgo. Virgo might come and hit you with certain things that'll throw you off and take you this way, take you that way. But at the end of the day, it's like test is in your ability to kind of stay honed in and stay focused on what's going in. Yeah, I came back to the car. I still kind of want to be outside though, but I'm gonna just set this up. But the thing is, it's about still trying to manage and keep yourself focused in on the bigger picture of things. You know what I'm saying? The bigger picture of things. See, one thing about Virgo is like it'll throw those little things at you, but it's really just seeing whether or not you can remain flexible and stay focused on the topic at hand. You know what I'm saying? Because the result of things, right, is gonna come down to, because even when you think about the principles of like the things we say in Virgo, like being consistent, right? Staying consistent with something, part of Virgo is not like the same as say Taurus energy. Taurus is fixated on one thing, right? So it forces you to be like stuck in one mode, one thing. And that one thing, the Ben Taurus energy is to stay on that one thing, not change it up very much. And then for the result of that is like a stand down till you come up. Okay, now things are solidified, you know what I'm saying? But then there's the Capricorn energy. Capricorn is about knowing how to initiate something for others to be centered in and focused and consistent on. So this is doing things, knowing how to leverage resources. That's what Capricorn energy is. Now, when it comes to Virgo, Virgo is about almost like the intimate, the micromanaging. It's the day to day operations. And so every day it be new problems, right? Like even if you're thinking about any company you work for, right? Like the real basic. Let's say you work at a retail store. So with a retail store, you're in, right? As an employee, you in the store, but then there's a manager, right? But then that manager has a supervisor, right? And then that supervisor might be part of a regional section of managers, right? So the whole idea is when we think about the large things going on, those are more so the supervisor's jobs. Those are more things like, okay, this month we're gonna have a certain theme for the store. We're gonna have certain focus for how we want to do sales for this whole month or for this part of the year, quarter of the year, because they do it in quarters. But then you got the day-to-day operations, right? In order for those bigger tasks and orders to get carried out, there has to be somebody who can manage the day-to-day to make sure the small things are, aka every location or that specific location is doing its part to make that the business is running and carrying out what the main goal is for that time, right? So, this is how you so if you think about, like I was just different types of earth signs, that's where Virgo comes in. Virgo is supposed to be doing the day-to-day operation. So again, all of Virgo season is really like you looking at, okay, what am I actually doing with my day? And see, it goes deeper than just your day. It goes into the places that you as a spirit go mentally and internally, things in your mind. You trying to go this way, you trying to go that way. it Virgo was testing our ability to connect still to the overall plan and organization, what we was trying to establish, but at the same time, still find ways that we relate and connect with. It's almost like to create that tether between what the dream is or what the overall goal is, in order to maintain that tether, going back, we have to get the basics done, you know, and that's kind of the principle of everything. When you're thinking about a process of things going, a lot of people want to skip to the thing that's going to give them the most gratification. They want to skip to the thing that's going to give them the most in their return on investment. Again, everybody want to be a musician, but nobody want to make music. People actually want to be a celebrity, but they don't take the time to develop a craft, develop a mentality to even make them strong enough to compete in some of those levels. And so a lot of times it's like it gets in between their goals. You know what I'm saying? They can't achieve those goals because they're too concerned with what the outcome could be. And is every outcome we create in our minds is a setup for a disappointment in some way. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of the same relationship between when you love and you also in a form or in a way are grieving it. And the reason between the two is almost like when you're, it's almost like if you think about a relationship, let's say you fall, right? When you're with that person and you're getting to know them and you're developing that relationship, everything is beautiful, everything is cool. But then you realize at a certain point, right? It's a constant thing where you have to maintain that space. How they say that love is not something that just is there, it's something that has to be worked on. Love at a certain point is not no emotion, something you have to continue to create. You have to continue to put and pour in and make that shit. You can't just expect it to be and leave it and think it's gonna, you know, just be there forever. It's something that you have to constantly work on. So when you think about, that's why at the same time, you know, like those long marriages and things like that, they'll tell you when we first met, there were certain energies and certain things. Though successful marriages and successful relationships are ones in which y'all know how to go through transitions together. Nothing is actually given to you and nothing is just easy the first time you get it and stays like that. And not to say everything is difficult, because it do be some situations where it be easy going for the most part, but it goes through seasons. Everything goes through transitions. And again, even how we related to actual, we going into a more colder time, we see there's always going to be something new for us to have to face and go through and figure out new ways to transverse or whatever you say, just new ways to go through that new experience. You know what I'm saying? And really, without newer experiences, things come up in a productive way. But getting back to what I was saying, it's like almost like the same time as if you don't choose to create that space, create whatever it is. Like I'm using love as an example on a relationship, right? If you don't choose to continue to pour in and give and create in that space, what is you losing it? So whatever you don't continue to work on, provide consistency to, guess what? It won't grow. And that's kind of what Virgo teaches, but on a higher octave. All earth signs show you. All earth signs involve forms of work. And see, let's say you got earth placements. A lot of times people might ridicule you for not caring or not showing love or appreciation in a way that makes other people, because most people, 98% of the world, majority of the world, they're concerned about more of the emotional aspects, which in a lot of ways we blame earth for being superficial. But if you think about it, a person who only wants to be in a relationship or wants to be in love when it feels good is just as superficial that you might claim somebody who only cares about money is, because you're doing the same thing, only your drug isn't money or your desire isn't money, it's the feeling, the emotion. Now it's always a balancing thing. Like when you, the higher octave though on that end is you caring. Again, emotions can lead to the more deeper aspects of connection, but that's the problem. A lot of people stop at the surface level, and that surface level is just the gratification you get when things are going good. Yeah, everybody want to be in a relationship when it's good, but it's about what you choose to do when things are tough, when things don't make sense, and when you're going through that trend. And I'm using, like I said, I'm just using and love as an example. We could take this same thing in business and work in any creative craft, or let's any job field anyway too. Because like again, let's say you got a normal ass 9 to 5 job that you don't see. It's the same principle. You, it's like, yeah, it's easy to go to that job on payday. It's easy to go to that job the payday, but you get 2 days in, especially if you get paid every 2 weeks. That first week, after that, on that second week, you like, why the fuck am I even here? You damn near ready to quit, based upon you having something deeper, a bigger goal at the end, something to use that money for, you make at the end of the week. That is your incentive to make it work. But regardless of that, it's still, because of course you could choose to just get up and leave and do whatever you want and say, man, forget this, too much work. And a lot of people quit at that point. And it's like that's kind of, so that those are the lessons and stuff like that that come with certain earth transitions, and specific too, because Virgo is that day to day. Again, what do you choose to do when everything seems like it's going wrong? What do you choose to do when it seems like something is complicated or requires a little patience? And that determines on whether you really want it or not. Because again, at the end of the day, everybody got the choice. So whether you want to call it free will or whatever, everybody got the choice at the end of the day. You can still walk away and say, man, this is too much. And ain't nothing wrong with that at the end of the day if it's not what you want. And so that's a fundamental principle. We got to really know what we want at this point. And again, it's very clear. It's very clear who wants what. And the thing is, when I say it's very clear, keep this in the frame of mind of your own mind. Don't think that you can judge others what's clear about them for you. Now, when you're thinking, because that's another thing that comes with Virgo too, is like judgment, or looking at things and being like, okay, comes to judgment, right? Because we're gonna get into that. Because we talking about Libra energy. So of course we talk about judgment and shit like that. Because Libra deals with that exalted Saturn energy, balance and stuff like that. Even when we're in balance, how we come to certain conclusions, right? All of that, that's Libra stuff. But before we even get to that, we have to know what the details are. Now, this is in Libra season, things flip. So this is us starting to look at others. So we take that Virgo energy that was probably bumped all kinds of different ways to criticize and look at something, break it down, and then we flip it on, okay, now it's two ways you can go about this. It's either rejection, or this is going to be, if you're looking at things with the proper perspective, looking at yourself first, and you're deciding for yourself how you're moving and how you're choosing to relate, and the different things going on within you that you're relating to, dealing with, like your mentalities and stuff like that, then you're going to be on a path, because the adjustments you're going to make are things that are going to balance yourself. And see, you always got a lot more power and control when you're balancing yourself versus when you're projecting and you're looking to balance yourself through others. So balances yourself through others, that's like a lower octave Libra energy, where not to say all Libra, like again, like it's a Libra energy because dealing with relating. And so when you're looking at the lower octave of Libra energy, it's trying to create balance and harmony, but through someone else. So instead of looking at yourself and saying, okay, I'm gonna judge myself and create that balance within me of myself not doing, and whether that looks like you being more, you having to speak up more, you having to be more Aries like and independent, and move like what is it? Like kind of move with more passion or be more aggressive towards something based upon it not, the balance not being there on the external, but you see it within yourself. So you choose to make yourself passionate. You choose to make yourself more of a priority, right? Based upon what you see and understand and decipher. That's going to be a much more healthier energy to create control and actually get the balance you want. When you're trying to project that onto somebody else, and so you're becoming controlling, or you're trying to manipulate a situation, and you're indecisive. Because see, that's the thing. Like, even when we talk, let's list out like negative. When we look at negative Libra traits, right? People be like, oh, Libras are fake, or Libras are indecisive. They'll use that, right? And nine times ten, the reason that energy is there is because on some level that Libra might be trying to make a decision for themselves based upon how somebody else is moving. And so they're trying to balance based upon, again, forms of projection, looking outside of themselves and trying to calculate in that aspect. So you get what I'm saying? So we that kind of awareness into Libra season. So we have to check ourselves, right? It's the first day of Libra season. So we still dealing with cusp. The cusp is Virgo. Virgo is that criticism and is that critical energy. So let's say there's been a lot of pressure building up on yourself, and you've been stressed, and you've been kind of not really understanding certain things. So you're kind of taking things more probably need to be, and you're in that kind of playing bad seed space. Let's say you had a rough full moon energy. You wasn't quite sure what was going on. You didn't know what was real and illusion. So now you're here in the beginning of Libra season, like, okay, how am I going to create more balance in my life? The first thing If you're on the back end, it's going to be you looking at what everybody else around you is doing that's not fitting your form of relating. And so, again, everybody is making the choice to choose to correct yourself, or the negative end, you're going to start to try to correct others. You take that cuspy Virgo energy and you start to apply it to how you want to relate. So now you got something to say about what everybody else is doing, instead of looking at yourself and saying, hey, what results have I actually created for myself? See, the better seeds end is going to look like you looking at yourself and saying, okay, what is the actual result of what I made? Now, your results and what's valuable to you is not going to be valuable to everybody else. But that's not really, that becomes the point later on, but that's not really the gist of it. Like, it's like sometimes we take what other people think is valuable more seriously than what we take as valuable. And a lot of that is because we be trying to a lot of times people want to value, it's like, again, that lower octave Libra energy. You just want to relate, make things go smooth. You just want to fit in. So what you'll do is you'll see what everybody else think is valuable, and you'll try to recreate that in some kind of way. And that's where the fake energy comes in, because people can tell really you, that's just something you're using to make yourself seem like you connect. See, it might work at first, but after a certain amount of time, you can't hide something forever. At a certain amount of time, that energy is going to fade. And when we are low on energy, or we don't really have it in us to perform, that's when the real parts of ourselves kind of come out. Because see, that's exactly even what I was saying about the analogy I was using with relationships and stuff like that. How the first part of the relationship, those first couple months to a year, everything's cool, honeymoon shit, because everybody's got the energy to be on their performance. But after a certain time, there's just certain things you can't hide, and we have to now deal with the reality of it. And that's where Saturn exaltation in Libra or in the seventh house plays out, where it's like the test of time will always show what is meant to stay and what is meant to wither away. And part of Saturn is not just about destruction, but it's also it's an energy about reconstruction. When we're dealing with Saturn energy, it's like bulldozer energy that tears something down card. But from those scraps and what is torn down, it's also knowing how to build it back up. And that's even in the nature of Capricorn. When you see the Capricorn energy and how it initiates things, like I was saying, Capricorn knows how to start a business, but they also know when to sell that business or get out of that business before it becomes bankrupt, or become, you know what I'm saying? Or, a Capricorn will put you on game on how to even use bankruptcy to get out of a situation into a better, you know what I'm saying? Because that's how Capricorns think. Capricorns thinking that initiating, as far as to initiate in Earth, is forms of knowing how to destroy something, or knowing how to. It's almost like create and destroy, being on this, knowing how to create something, but also knowing when it's time to destroy it, reform it, reconstruct it, and things of that nature. And the whole nature of Saturn, the trials and tribulations that Saturn puts you through, it's all about breaking something down and building it back up. You know what I'm saying? Tearing something down, building it back up. And that's what makes Capricorns hard. That's what make them, and again, hard can be positive, but it can be negative too. Hard in the sense of, because, and again, with lower octave Capricorns, you'll see instances where, let's say, they go through certain, because every Capricorn go through a certain lifespan, a life of kind of difficulty. So let's say they let that difficulty tear them down, and it hardens their heart to a point where now they don't want to open themselves up to anything. That's where you see a Capricorn who's moving in the lower octave aspect of not knowing how to rebuild. So they become almost tyrants in the sense of they think everything is meant to be destroyed. So they go around again destroying, destroying, destroying without the proper understanding of how to also grow things. And that's them feel less than. It's like you don't know what a Capricorn really cry about, but that's be the type of shit they cry about. They feel like, damn, everything I touch just crumbles right before my eyes. So they embody that villain type energy if they don't know how to, again, reach that higher octave and understand, oh, I'm also the nurturer by knowing how to build a home and shelter. You know what I'm saying? Because again, a Capricorn is on the other end of Cancer. So you do have a heart. You do have the ability to nurture and grow things just as much as you have the ability to destroy and reconstruct something. Or, you know what I'm saying? So and sacrifice in a sense, because that's also what Saturn deals with. And going back to Libra, again, Saturn in Libra, it's like when you think about a long-term relationship, right? Whether we want to say marriage or even just like you can even think of like when I say a long-term relationship, think about your actual family, siblings, things like this. This is a long-term relationship that again you didn't even really choose yourself. So a lot of times, and when I say that, like you did choose it, and that's a deeper topic though, because we are born into, as beautiful as it looks or as demonic as it looks, we all choose what it is we are born into. But whether you're aware of that or not is a different conversation, right? But for the most part, it's like these are relationships we are given that is kind of there for us to either choose to maintain, choose to let go of. Now, in order for certain things in a relationship to work, when we think about compromise, it sounds cool when you're the one someone's compromised, but it sounds scary when you're the one who got to compromise. And there's always a question in the back of your mind: Am I over compromising? Is this person getting over on like that? And that goes into again a different topic of trust and things like that. But for the most part, compromise also entails somebody to have to sacrifice, and for that role to have to reverse at times that might not be favorable to you. And that's why even in that choice, like the whole nature of, and this is kind of what I was even talking about in my decision making series when I was talking about Saturn and coming to a conclusion, knowing how to decide. Every choice leads to a consequence. Every choice is also a sacrifice of another option. And that's we have too many options, and that's kind of what we even see nowadays with social media and stuff. Like the problem is we got too many options, too many things to look at, too many things to drag in this way, that way. We almost get terrified by making a choice, and so we end up not making a choice, being in that space because it feels good to have ability. But what you realize is in that flexibility and here, there, everywhere energy don't actually build anything. And when hard times come, it's all about the structure of something and how well something is built. So even a metaphor for the summertime going into the fall time. Yeah, it's cool to be outside, but when it get cold and nobody else outside with you, you want you can kick it at the crib with. You want somebody you can close that door, lock it, turn on a fireplace and relax and be, what I'm saying, comfortable, secured, and things like that. And that's kind of some of the pressure we subconsciously feel going from the summertime to the winter, to the fall time and stuff like that. So, you know, that's a lot of what's going on energetically. We're seeing a lot of people wanting to, okay, either, and again, everybody at different places, but the overall energy influence you ideas and thoughts like, okay, well, how can I start to how can I create this balance? But it's about how you go about creating that. Are you trying to do it externally, or are you taking the initiative and doing it internally? Externally is going to look like you projecting and you putting yourself in positions that actually aren't even true to you. And that is also, like I was saying about with the Libra energy and that the fake side and how that energy develops. Oh, I'm gonna see what everybody else relating to, and then I'm going to try to initiate ideas to make it seem like I fit that mold. So that's like compromising yourself, who you are, for the sake of the validation of others, for the sake of being with the right people and getting it. And again, by the right people, that don't actually mean it's the right people. It's just what you think is right upon what you're desiring, what you want. And that's what's going to get you in trouble. And then one thing too, we got to keep in mind, Venus is making its way into Scorpio. Now, that's a whole different dynamic that influences the choices we make going into Libra season about who we decide to relate to, who we going to be with, and things like that. Because when you think about it, hold on, where is that? I'll put that L, man. I gotta find that L. I don't know where it is. But anyway, I'll think about that later. But when you're making that decision on who you about to relate with, is it on the right? Like I said before, when we think about one thing, we got to remember, right? When we say like, oh, there's no such thing as right or wrong, the reason we say that is because Because there is a right and wrong, but the thing about it is right and wrong is what's right to you, not right to everybody else. So, but you got to keep in mind when we think about subjectivity, one thing, the key thing about anything subjective is perspective, the space you in. Based upon the space you in, that determines how you're seeing something. Think about it. If you standing in the right corner of a room, you're gonna see things from the right corner angle. If you stand in the left corner of the room, you're gonna see things from the left corner angle. So spiritually, when you're in different spaces, and spaces are a different way of saying mind states, certain feelings. And when we say mind states, we know that's the feelings that we're feeling. And that feeling is going to get certain thoughts that we're also responding to, or we're seeing. Everything is by, but we're cherry picking what, based upon the space we in and how we see things, cherry picking what we confirm, and we're denying, we're throwing away what we deny, right? But all that is what makes up your mentality. Now, that mentality is determining your space and how you're seeing things, your perspective of it. Now, the thing about it is, like I said before, based upon the things on your mind and what you're desiring and going on internally, that's going to determine what you start to see, and what you seeing and how you're looking at it is going to lead you to make certain decisions. If you're not a strong, a lot of those decisions you make are going to be very weak ones. A lot of those that you're noticing, that you're going to start to develop desires that's going to, it's basically influencing you to choose those weak decisions. Weak decisions, I just mean things that you choose based upon what looks good, what's good. Again, instant gratification, desires, and things that's going to take you, things that you're choosing not because this is who you are and what you resonate with, but things you're because the flesh demands it, or because the flesh. And when I say the flesh, I just mean it's like, because even talking about that is something else. It's like everything is all layers and stuff like that, right? I'm gonna go deep enough with it, because the thing about it is, yeah, right. Like kind of like Stephanie saying ego. It's and what is the ego? Ego is what we're throwing up to make it look good. Ego is what we think we are, or what is on a lower octave is what we think we are, or what we want to be seen as. It's really actually probably, if you're more so on the lower octave of things, it's probably not even how you think you are. Who you it's really not even what you think you are, it's what you don't think you are and feel like you gotta be though. It's like you don't even really think and believe you are that. You throwing that out because you desperately want to be seen as that, and you feel like you're not. Like that's a lot of times negative aspects or expressions of the ego, right? Versus healthier expressions of the ego where we understand we're using these things. We understand me, and this is the character I'm creating to carry out what my wishes are and what I want to see for myself. But yeah, all those ego things, like the things that kind of feel good, make you feel like, okay, yeah, that's gonna make it cool for me to do something else. That's gonna make me feel more in alignment with my natures, versus you being able to make decisions beyond your natures and saying, well, my overall goal, again, spiritual path is knowing how to, because being spiritual has nothing to do with for like completely saying, oh, I don't want no desires. A spiritual path is just it's your power of choice that allows you to make decisions and things that are, again, ultimately aligned you and where you going. The problem with the other end of that, when you're not aware of yourself, when you're not subconsciously aware, you're not understanding the things that's dragging you this way, distractions and stuff on your mind, and you're not mentalities you develop around certain things, then you make decisions purely based on, again, what's going to feel good, what's going to be most satisfying in the eyes of others. So it's a form of self-sacrifice that, again, that's when you start, that's when you kind of, you basically lock yourself out of, um, it's like a form of locking yourself out of heaven type stuff, where you're not ever going to experience that full satisfaction. Because see, when people are moving upon uh their natures, right, and they're too much in the more egotistical, like you said, the 3D version of things. The thing about the 3D, we understand, it's things that's constantly going to be there. Always going to be another desire. It's always going to be another thing. So it's like if you're on the end of that, only satisfying things through the body, it's an insatiable hunger, and that insatiability, it puts you on a loop. You know, you say get that girl out the car. I think you talk about well, I don't know, yeah, but it's an insatiable, it's a loop. You know what I'm saying? You keep going on and on about stuff that won't ever satisfy you. You know what I'm saying? And it's like things that actually won't bring you to a point of feeling, you won't get full off of that. It'll be you just constantly consuming things for trying to get to a point of like, okay, it's always going to be there. When you're doing things based upon what you're actually aligned with spirit, it's your ability to be able to create that space of comfort or being solidified, being whole with something. You know what I'm saying? Right. Oh, and that's what I thought you said. Yeah, get all those emotions right. All those emotions get to a point where every emotion is going to drag you down to that point. It's like even with our relationship with emotions, we have to know how to let them go, you know. But a lot of times, the reason people hold on to emotions is because it's almost like, you ever been next to somebody who's drinking a drink, and it start making that where it's like, all right, yo, ain't nothing else in that cup. Like, why you still trying to get something out of the cup? It's that, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know somebody sipping something and it's gone. It's like, yo, all right, the drink is over. But a lot of times people take emotions and just treat them like that stuff, in the sense of trying to get that last taste. So people get emotions and they don't, so they trying to always get the last taste of something that they feel. Again, people, that's one of the leading things. I think I was just saying that earlier in the live, about how people, that's the reason people cling into these feelings though, is because they not actually facing them and experiencing them and getting, it's like when you, one thing as a water sign, I'll tell you like this: when you dealing with feelings and emotions, you can't avoid, like, it's always a choice. You don't have to body everything you feel, but if you don't at least address the feelings that you do feel, if you don't take the time to deal with it, and by dealing with it I mean actually face it, allow yourself to feel what you need to feel, you're not going to be able to let it pass. That whole processing is key. Like, you have to allow things to come in, and because the thing is, you can try to block off water all you want, but you know what I'm saying, you can try to block off water all you want, it's going to still seep through the cracks. So it's like, if you try, it's like, say you feeling certain things that you not dealing with. Yeah, we talk about emotions are not the time. Yeah, we understand that, but some things just affect you. Some things gonna hit you. It's about how you choose to face it. If things are affecting you, you have to know when to be honest with yourself, to feel what so that it can pass, because it's coming anyway. It's a way, it's gonna hit you anyway. And see, this is kind of more so a deeper topic, just kind of speaking on it's like, I forgot what I was linking it with. But it's one of those things where you can't, and it's important right now too, because going through Earth transit into an air transit, there's not a whole lot of water. It's a little water now. Actually, it's a good deal of water, right? And we about to get into that now, because we got Venus in Venus Scorpio, and then we got Mars in Cancer still. So it's a good, and then we got Saturn in Pisces. It's really a grand water trine. So the emotions is on the undercurrent, but it's about knowing how to use them at the moment. Because a good way to understand kind of what's going on right now with the grand water trine between Venus, Mars, Saturn, and Neptune. Think of Saturn and Neptune. They've been in Pisces for the longest, right? These things are kind of the anchor point, right? In Pisces. Pisces has been lit up this whole year. Pisces has been under 2 years as far as dealing with what our imagination and what we're trying to build from that, what's real about what we feel, and what's not real about what we, again, you got Saturn, the planet of structure in reality, next to Neptune, the planet of, you know, spirituality, things that don't appear but exist at the same time, you know what I'm saying? All that kind of mystical energy. So at the center point of things, everything is kind of being manipulated based upon how you feel about reality. On the days you feel shitty about reality, chances are those be the days in which you'll get a lot of confirmations of that quick. And that's what kind of made Virgo season so intense. Because again, on those bad days, it's all about what you still choose to do. You still got a mission, you still got a plan, you still got responsibilities. So when are you going to stop trying to? And based upon the quality of that season for you is determined on what you choose to do in those times. Did you choose to get up off your ass and do something? Did you choose to let that did you succumb to all those energies and you gave away that day? You know what I'm saying? And again, when I say gave away that day, you use the day to rest. That's still a productive way time at times. But did you use did you use that as an excuse to not do what you were supposed to do? Is the question. But again, that's a personal thing. That's for you to decide for yourself. But the point is that whole Saturn Neptune energy in Pisces, Saturn also retrograde, Neptune also, these things is kind of reoccurring questioning, reoccurring themes. Hey, are you choosing to escape, or are you addressing the reality and making priority to build that reality for yourself or not? Now, the center point, like I said before, is trying in Mars and Cancer. Mars don't like to be in Cancer. It's trying in Venus and Scorpio. Venus don't like to be in Scorpio. So what you have is this, again, the shift right now is about, can you know how to be a mature spirit? And by mature spirit, I mean, do you know how to develop a character for yourself that has integrity? Do you know how to avoid, do you know how to be strong against the distractions? Do you know how to still choose things that might not? Because the problem right now with the world is that instant gratification thing. But it's like right now, we have to know how to, which to give light to. We have to know how to distribute our energy. And a lot of that, again, another aspect that influences that is even Pluto and Capricorn now. Because Pluto and Capricorn don't forget, Capricorn is about the distribution of resources. Capricorn is about knowing how to execute something, knowing how to delegate something to make it work. And yeah, it's about status, but what do we look at status about? Like what makes a manager? Their ability to manage resources. If it's a manager of a store, a manager has to know what are the tasks that need to be done, what employees do I have, and what times are they going to be here, and who can I put on what, and who to make in charge of what in order for the operation to go smooth. So Pluto and Capricorn, it going back into that energy, it's that's kind of the undertone. We have to know how to distribute our energy, how to leverage our power. Your power is you, how your awareness of yourself, and the thing, you have the ability to create, and knowing how to create what you need to create at the right times. And when I say create, we talking about mentality. And because a lot of times if we say create, we want to skip to, oh, I can make money doing this, I can do this art, I can do this. But it starts even closer to home. It starts even more internally, to create the mentality to make the right decisions, the decisions that's going to be responsible, stay consistent, stay committed to certain things that you want to see play out in the time. How do I stay on tasks? How do I deal with not getting what I want? How do I deal in the face of adversity? How do I deal with my own self-doubt, my own self-sabotaging tendencies? How do I manage my energy in the face of other people? May not mean me no harm, but I also have to still relate to in order to get from point A to point B. All these different things play out as a factor. But the reason I saw about the maturity of that spirit and knowing how to make those decisions is because when you got Mars and Cancer, our passions can easily be just motivated by which can make our intentions or what we do very self-serving, very and then it was sneaky and conniving, because when we think about what's going to make us comfortable, that can become a very self-centered energy. That's why Cancer right now, it can be a very self, all about self, because what's going to make me comfortable, again, every element, every sign got its survival mode status, and Cancer be one of those. When in survival, about them, it's about what's going to make them the most comfortable, what's going to, so Mars could be motivated by that. Mars could be also motivated by insecurities. And that's what makes the Cancer energy unsafe. Insecurities, not feeling secure, not feeling safe. It's got to bring those claws out. Now it's got to start snapping at you. Got to start walking sideways, always looking side to side, like what's coming, what's going. Venus in Scorpio. What we love, appreciate, and value is now going depths of things. So it is that serious now. What we want is now 10 times more attractive. What we need is starting to feel, oh, if I don't get this by tomorrow, everything is going to crumble. Everything, it starts to become, Venus and Scorpio can easily become desperation, session, to the point of extremes that, again, add to the motivation factor. Venus easily can influence Mars. You know what I'm saying? Most wars is fought because a God it was like, I want this piece of the land. And the dude probably was like, I don't know, like that's kind of France's land. Like, I don't think we should invade them. The woman, I want this. The man, like, damn, okay, I gotta get what she want. Most wars, that's a watered down version, but most wars, even when you think about in the streets and stuff like that, a lot of issues that go on with that is dealing with, you know what I'm saying, masculine energy trying to take things over so that the female can feel good. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, sorry, dog, I did shoot you, but shorty need new shoes or something like that, something petty or something. It's like, I'm sorry. But you know what I'm saying? That's not all the cases, but it happens like that sometimes. It's like, again, and I'm talking physically, but y'all know emotions, like you're talking about emotions, even you, emotions a lot of times lead you to do things with your actions that's unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? You doing all these extreme things with your actions. 9 to 10, damn. Oh, that's really just a reaction. Yo, you was in your feelings. That's why you right now. That's why you doing this right now. That's why you fighting. You was in your feelings. Somebody hurt you knocked them out, or you got knocked out because you was hurting somebody else's feelings. Again, all those emotions motivate in actions. But back to what I was saying about the energies, that's how we got Venus and Mars acting right now. Venus and Mars are now on the same page. So my whole point is, if your perspective is fucked up, if you in a desperation space, which happens during this time, because we start to get the pressure of, it's like we can look outside, it's getting colder. I don't have, in even day to night cycles, it's the daytime is shorter, the nighttime is longer. That lets you know that's like the mental state people be in. Oh shit, I'm running out of time. Oh shit, it's getting cold. Oh shit, I need to make sure my resources is good. Like I said, back to Libra, lower octave, external ways of trying to create balance. I need to manipulate this. I need to grab that. I need to do this to create balance for me. So this is where, again, lower octave energies, when we're thinking about lower octave and higher octave of an energy, is the factors are always in the opposite energy. A lower octave Libra starts to look a whole lot like an Aries. You know what I'm saying? But a higher, it's like a balance of, damn, this Libra got some Aries type energy. So the lower octave, like I said, of Libra going out and trying to create balance by using other people, projecting things onto them, and picking and choose where they can slip in, and kind of, that's going to look like the energy. That's going to start to look like, damn, okay, this Libra is in survival mode. And not just talking about a Libra in general. That's going to look like other people. You're going to start seeing people energies like that, where, especially right now, everybody got to be on high alert a little bit, because especially people who trying to just jump into your life and just, hey, like, hey, let's, coming in too hot and shit like that with no understanding. Because see, it's different if y'all was this before, and it's different if y'all was, and y'all had different business and y'all was working on things before. Let's say you was going through something, or different things played out, but there was communication, or it's certain ways that you can justify, again, oh yeah, we was working on this, you was going through that, okay, cool, yeah, okay, now we back, cool. But then those people, there's those people, but then there's people who come out of nowhere. People you ain't worked with in decades. People you ain't talked to in months. That, like, random people that, hey, I got this good idea. I got this, that, and the third. We got to look at these people sideways a little bit, because that Venus is going to blame it on just that Venus energy, but it's going to play out like, because people be knowing what they doing, but let's say you got, again, people who are not aware of the energies, or not self-aware of their subconscious space. They don't even know why they reaching out, or they don't even know why they trying to all of a sudden get inspired to a bunch of projects with a bunch of people. They don't even know why. They just do it, thinking that it's going to be a good idea. But what's going on the internal level is they probably want something. They probably see you got something. They probably don't feel good about it, so they try to get themselves into a position in which they can raise themselves up off of your hard work. And this is where we have to be very discerning. Is highly key for Libra season. Like, yeah, every season we got certain things we need to focus on. Number one thing is discernment. He said, how y'all in the chat even understand what he's being said? Came back, it's still skipping. I don't know, it might be you, bro. I don't know if it is skipping, then I don't know. I'm gonna just have to figure out a better location. But I was saying though, like, discernment is the number one key we gotta focus on for the season, because without that, again, a lot of the decisions you make, um, is just going to be rooted in the wrong motives. It's going to be things that's kind of like, oh, I chose this, but what were the reasons behind it? And if you're not aware of yourself, you know what I'm saying? If you're not aware of yourself, then you're going to be making a lot of these movements and based upon, like I said before, the wrong things. And that's the thing when we talk about planets in, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. But, like, sometimes I hear it in the when I be chopping up videos, but I don't know. Maybe they just sabotage the shit. Cool, cool. As long as it's understandable. I hate that. We gonna figure something out, man. Figure something out. But it ain't stopping the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And but getting back to what I was saying, like, the thing about when we think about planets and positions that they're not the best in, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I know. Yeah, we gonna figure something out. Whether it's location, you know. But back to what I was saying. When we talk about energy and yeah, I appreciate that too, because, like, again, like, I see it, but we gonna fix it. You know what I'm saying? But for right now, I'm gonna keep it going. So when we talk about planets and positions that, like Venus and Scorpio or Mars and Cancer and stuff like that, and the normal astrologer might look at that and be like, oh, that something's wrong, or that means that things are gonna be uh up and all this kinds of stuff. A regular pop culture astrologer gonna be like, oh man, if Venus gets into Cancer, it's gonna be bad things happening. And when Mars gets into Cancer, it's gonna be bad things. The thing about when planets are in fallen positions and stuff like that is that it's more about you'll be influenced to do something that feels good for that energy, but is overall not the best decision or the best way to go about it. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at, like, for instance, right, when you're doing certain things, like I said before, the whole point is understanding that, okay, let me choose things for the right reasons versus the reason get me the instant gratification of things. It's like when you think about planets and fallen signs, you just really have to understand that it's less about, oh, you're destined to do things wrong or you're going about it the wrong way. It's more so about what is influencing you or driving you at the root might be off a little bit. So for instance, Venus in Scorpio is not the fact that it's like what you do for love or how you're relating to love or appreciating and valuing or what you're choosing to value. It might be motivated by the wrong things. So it'll influence you. The vision is based upon that. And if you lean in too much into the Venus and Scorpio energy, what you decide to do is going to be motivated by the wrong things. So that's kind of what you have to keep in mind. Is like, try not to do things based upon the wrong motives, and that motives is all about the space you on the yeah. And it's like higher self, but we also got to remember, like, even a concept of a higher self at this point where we at as far as a shift goes. The higher self is you just making it is even be something outside of you no more. It's got to be you actively making decisions that's alluding to you being the best version of yourself. It's like being your most self. And sometimes, like, it, and that don't mean that you make all good decisions in the eyes of others. That's you making decisions based upon how you want to create your life to be and shit like that. But like I was saying though, when we think about the this grand trine, it's all about the motive behind things too. It's just you got to watch that. You got to watch, okay, how this is relating to that. This is going with that. When things come in and it's almost like too good to be true, we got to look at it a little bit longer and just make sure that what we're deciding is based upon is rooted things. Mars and Cancer. A lot of what we get frustrated about could be based upon, oh, I'm just being insecure right now. Venus in Scorpio, oh, when I'm choosing to love and appreciate and value, start obsessing over it. So it's like you got to make sure you're not going. The thing about it is the energy is there for us to play into it, but what about that value or what about that thing are you obsessing about? Because you could be obsessing over the wrong things. There's good things to be obsessed about. There's better things to be, and again, we got to moderate everything. But again, if that obsession is leading you to be more motivated and putting you in a position to actually transform yourself, and the thing when we think about Venus and Scorpio, some of the benefits is we know that Venus and Scorpio, Scorpio is about applying pressure to something for it to transform, right? How pressure makes diamonds, or that metaphor. So when you, and also things being rebirthed and reborn. So if you think about the positive aspects that could come about Venus and Scorpio, this is you. If you're putting your value in the right things, this is you allow yourself to actually build on something, connect with it on such a deep level that it transforms or transmute into something positive. This is you taking, again, whether it be a gift, of talent, and again, it's trine in Mars, so it can be a form of your passion. You take a certain part of your passion and you're able to invest energy into it to the point where it's able to actually transform into something. But in order for that to happen, you have to keep it private. You might have to keep it behind closed doors, and you might have to give it proper emotions in order for it to react and respond in a way that's more in alignment with something prosperous. So this means you taking the time to, that passion days, you're not going to feel up to do that passion. And on some days, you might even feel like, man, get this passion out based upon you feeling insecure about everybody else doing a similar passion. But you specifically as an individual might need to give it a little bit, take that passion, add a little bit more feeling, care to it. If you care for it, take it and you go, you get deeper. You might even benefit from being obsessed with that passion if that passion is actually something that can look something into it can, if that passion looks like something that can lead to something better, what I'm saying? Because again, you're focused on the wrong passion, and the wrong passion would just be something that's not in alignment with you, something you're invested in based upon, again, a desire, maybe expecting to get something out of it. Maybe it's something that somebody else gave to you, and you started to give it importance based upon how they were validating you when you do it. Like, for instance, somebody might come around and be like, let's say you play, but let's say there's a girl you like or something like that, or a dude you like, and he like, well, uh, I like playing the trumpet and stuff like that. So you, instead of doing what you do and being you and bringing things towards you, and when you do things from that space, what's rejecting you is really protecting you. When you doing things because you do it, you automatically protected by you just being you being aligned with yourself. But when you trying to do what other people doing, that open yourself up to not be in alignment. So let's say in that space, on what you do, you start trying to play the instrument he playing and stuff like that, and you start to make a persona around that. Well, at a certain time where either initially it won't work, where you'd be like, man, like when he's, it's almost like when people change themselves for something that they want. You know what I'm saying? It's like you get wrapped up into somebody else's world, because you got to think like you was somebody where that person came around. So if you change yourself for somebody that's coming around, when to leave, what are you left with? Confusion, nothing. If you're a strong spirit, you might have been able to, it's almost like you learned in that space, so you're able to take what you learn and who you are. But a lot of times people completely separate from who they are and try to jump into somebody else's world. That's not a healthy way to relate. That's like a form of clinginess. That's the form of separation dependency issues. You know what I'm saying? But getting back to what I was saying, that's just a goal for this energy where when somebody gives you a passion, you know what I'm saying? So they came into your life, all of a sudden you're dedicated and committed to a whole different path based upon somebody else coming and influencing you. And the thing about it is, and I know it's kind of different because, like, let's say it's kind of different for even men and women, because just based upon masculine energy and feminine energy. Feminine energy a lot of times will try to support, but even in that sense, y'all be needing your own thing and needing to know yourselves, and before you get wrapped up into what the next dude come around and he's into. You can't just be into, because at a certain point, the problem with that is, see, when you relate, when you abandon yourself to relate to somebody else, the problem is in any relationship, it's an exchange. So abandon yourself to relate to somebody else, what happens, there's an imbalance in the exchange, because you're lacking your own space. You're just kind of, that's where you become a yes man. You just kind of with what they saying, and you might be learning and stuff like that, but eventually the person on the other end of that relationship is going to need your energy to give, to contribute to the exchange. When you abandon yourself for somebody else's stuff, you lack your own ability to exchange information too. That's why, like, you kind of have to always have your own thing going on, so that it's a balanced exchange. Because that's when things get imbalanced. And I just, with when I say relationships, I even mean like, I mean with any you're relating on, not just people, but I mean like it could be during work and during talents and things like that. But 9 times out of 10, if you ever with somebody that seems like when you first met them, they was all into the same things you was into, after a certain while, if they're not really into those things, they're not going to have their own experiences and their own energy to contribute to the exchange of energy that goes on. Y'all start relating. So that's when things start to fall flat. It's not enough things to talk about. It's not enough things to build on, because that's a part of uh energy too, or Libra energy too. Saturn exaltation, building on something. You know what I'm saying? If just abandon yourself, what you miss out on or what you leave behind is your individuality, is your ability to have insight. And that insight is what others earn for when they're trying to connect. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta remember that. See, on the surface level, it looked like seventh house things that people is interested in. What actually keep it balanced and make it worth doing is the individual you're relating to. Like for example, you could get into a relationship with it, but after a while, you're gonna be like, I want to be in a relationship with an individual I want to be with. Get what I'm saying? So people would get that twisted and try to jump into relationships based upon what looked good. Good, they got this, they got that. Oh, I got into the relationship. Then they find out it's a shitty person. That's a shitty individual. That's an individual that I do not align with. That's where the problems is, or where the problems lie. Vice versa. It's like, or if you do it the other way, the right way, you are yourself, and when you relate to somebody, you're relating to them because they are who they are, and you learn to appreciate and love actually are for who they are. And again, everybody come with problems. You know what I'm saying? Everybody come with imbalance. But if you actually go into the relationship based upon who you are and who you are, and y'all are individuals who are choosing to connect, that relationship has the potential to actually blossom into something that's sustainable, long lasting, because it started off with the right pretense. Y'all individuals coming together and choosing to be together, versus you was alone and you tried to jump into something because of what looked good on the outside. You know what I'm saying? You tried to jump into something based upon what was attractive to the eyes and what made you go, "Ooh, I could take this and I could do that with this." That's why, and that is 98% of the world. When you see people complaining on social media, that's how they got people mind working, because it programs their mind to be like, "Oh, I could just cherry pick what I like," and what they like don't even be the person. You can't get to know somebody really online through stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's why we be doing the pop-ups, and we try to do things that's going to get people actually in connection with each other. Because, and even in a community and whatever we do, it don't gotta be, again, like I said, the difference between fake relations, real relations. Fake relations is you trying to fit a mold based upon what you trying to calculate everybody else is into and relating to them for the sake of nation. The beautiful thing about a real community of people is that don't have to be like that. Within a community, you it's like a common goal everybody shares. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's association based upon the real or something more business like. And who you connect to in that community is based upon your genuine connection. Because connection is different from association. Like that's one of, even when we think about, because a lot of the questions would be like, how do we actually make a community work, or what does a community look like? And the thing about it is, it's more so about knowing, is you got to understand the difference. When we think about Aquarius, about the it's based in Saturn. It's about what makes sense. We're here together because we are associated with the same goal, or we're choosing to associate with each other because we share a common goal, or a common principle, a common ideal, a common result we want to see. And so what we do is we create a system in which we can make that operate and flow. That's what association is. But within an association, it work like that is because everybody is an individual. That being said, when we think about connection that takes place within a community, it's like that's something completely different, because that's about temperament, that's about space, perspective, who you agree with, even the people you don't agree with. See, the association aspect keeps it cordial, almost like a layering. Like when we think about like the whole idea of community, even the 11th house, how they say the 11th house Aquarian energy is like your best friend energy. It's like, or not best friend, but your friends. You know what I'm saying? They'll say the 11th house is like as an extended family and stuff like that. And the reason for that is because we can be friendly, we can be cordial, we can be cool. That don't necessarily mean that we gotta be connected. In a business, the coworkers you have, it's like you can be cool with your coworker to get the job done, but when you go home, you don't that don't gotta be the coworker you best friends with. But for the sake of the common goal and y'all sharing the space, and again, if it's a job like y'all was into some of the same things and y'all was looking in the same areas, by default, we can keep a level of balance and flow that just based upon the goal getting done. You know what I'm saying? But even within a community, I mean, the difference between the 11th house and the 7th house, what makes somebody a friend is an associate, is based upon that one-on-one connection. If we have enough one-on-one instances where we're like, damn, yeah, this is just my coworker, this is somebody I know. But if every time we start to have one-on-one conversations, I'm like, yo, I kind of agree with your mind. I kind of agree with what you're saying. I kind of value the same things. Well, that relationships develop. I feel like in the age of social media, and the biggest issue, even when we talk about a lot of these online communities and stuff like that, is that, again, it's an instant gratification mentality that just has developed over time. Everybody think the minute I see you or the minute I meet you, I'm supposed to be your best friend. They, you know what I'm saying? It's either that or the complete opposite on the extreme. I can't get close to nobody because I don't know none of you niggas. And again, both, it's all about moderation. It's all shit, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like on one end, it's like, yeah, it's true. We don't know each other. We don't, but it's again, when we talk about relations or choosing to relate, it's all choice. You know what I'm saying? I have to choose to extend, and then again the exchange of energy. And see, the problem is, even within this space though, you still got people who make mistakes when it comes to, like I was saying before, with relating, and when somebody abandons themselves. It's, again, a lot of this is, even these online communities, a lot of times people gravitate to these because for the first time we can connect to people we want to connect to. So even in that is a certain, especially younger spirits, is a certain excitement and almost like a, maybe not a desperation, but a yearning for that type of connection, and just wanting to really want to, I really want to connect. I really like this. I really want to be a part of this. I really want to help and stuff. Some enthusiasm can throw people off too, you know what I'm saying? Because even when we think about all of this stuff, 11th house stuff, community, relating, relationships, and even the third house, Gemini energy, where it's just common conversation and stuff. A lot of times these are air energies. The one thing about air doesn't hold water. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, it's water vapor and stuff, but think about how thin and small those particles are. And it's many. It's like when we're dealing with air, there's not a room for water involved. So to get your feelings in the mix of it shifts the vibe. Getting too enthusiastic, it shifts the vibe. You know what I'm saying? Too much fire. And it's like they can create a sextile, but they gonna create a lot of oppositions. So again, all that enthusiasm can throw people off in certain community instances. 11th house to the 5th house. You come in with too much of, even if it's just good self-confidence, you come into a job wearing colorful colors. Everybody else like, who is this dude? Who hired him? Like, who hired her? Like, who is she? All those energies, you know what I'm saying? 5th house, the 11th house, or whether it be want to relate, but this person seems like too selfish or too into themselves, and too, types of energies that play out through this, uh, too much enthusiasm, too many feelings, and too much, yearning to connect. Oh, like I want to make something deeper and stuff. That throw the relationships off. And what's the other one? Earth. Earth being too honed in on money, too business related, or too stubborn, it could be stubborn type energy, or, energy in which, somebody come around and they feel like they trying to boss you around or try to criticize you, or 2 cents and that 2 cents and all kinds of stuff, all of that creating different kinds of friction. That those are just different layers of what we have to deal with when we're in these kinds of spaces. And so it takes a level of, having to kind of have the patience and tenacity to kind of do what you need to do. You said facts. They feel afraid of new strong energy they never experienced. Right. Exactly. And again, it's all about how you deal with that fear. Feeling something, what I'm saying? Everybody be kind of going through what they're going through. Everybody be feeling something. So you don't really know, and that's part of that individual thing. Like, what somebody chooses to take personal and stuff is based upon them. So, you never really know. And a lot of times, it gets the crazier part. The thing about it that really does get crazy is like you really don't know, what I'm saying, you're going on and stuff like that between people, right? You do gotta give them, but and grace doesn't have to look like being naive. Grace doesn't have to look like being a pushover, or grace doesn't have to look like being gullible. You know what I'm saying? Like, giving grace is more so. I look at like giving grace, giving space to let somebody be who they are and where they at. So grace doesn't have to be like accepting and like, oh yeah, come into my energy, and yeah, ain't me. Grace is like space. It's like, I'm gonna give you grace to say you are you and you are in your own space. I don't have to connect. I don't have to do any kind. I don't have to justify. I don't have to connect. I don't have to justify what you're doing. I'm gonna give you the space to be you, and whatever that space is, time will, results will show. What's dark will come to light. All that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Right. Grace is space. Real shit. Real shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So when we talking about the time we in, that's these are the things kind of on our mind, because it's about getting into this relationship aspect, and about kind of looking at things from a perspective of, um like I said before, the proper perspective of going into Libra is more so like, okay, based upon what I've built myself and how uh I've structured my own life, right? Based upon my results, how can I be of service? How can I maybe, it's almost like, how can I be of service, right? In this cusp space, but it's eventually going to shift from how can I be of service based upon what I've built myself up to be and what I've constructed myself to get solid on, right? Based upon Libra energy. I mean, based upon Virgo energy. And think about a Virgo capping off the whole summer. So all of the effort you put into to yourself for the summer, at this point, now it's like, okay, you know what I'm saying? How can I be of service? How can I apply myself? The proper perspective is more so looking at things as far as, you know, you already taking the initiative to balance yourself out. So it's not so much, like I said before, is the difference between external control things versus internal. So the internal version is you're already doing things to create balance within yourself. So as you apply yourself to different relationships, you bring a certain sense of value that you can confirm. You don't need validation for it, because it's self-affirming. It's like, I already did it. I know built myself up to do. I got my results right here. Right. And see, it'll also play out as other people notice, because based upon what you was able to be consistent on, even if your consistency was behind closed doors. Let's say you was working on something to be in a position to do something else. That still matters too. So don't discredit yourself for maybe having to do things in a different way, because progress looks different. Sixth house is mutable, you know what I'm saying? And all earth energy is internal. So I don't know where it's a misconception to think that other people got to see us putting in work for that work to count. As long as you and God knowing on something, that's all that matters. And it shows, because when it really comes down to, like, somebody on the surface might not see you in the work you put in, but let's say you're a person who really do a lot of shadow work, you do a lot of internal work, it shows out and carry yourself. So when people do get to know you, it's like, damn, I don't know what it is. I haven't seen you do things, but I can tell based upon your energy, how you carry yourself, how you relate to me and how you relate to others. You've been doing something, and that something energy. And we all have to know when we've done enough. Like, the thing about Virgo, we know, hey, I've done enough, and that enough doesn't mean you stop. But the thing about going into Libra, remember that whole metaphor with my yacht and being light as a feather, and how to release a lot of the tension that comes from all of those earthly inner workings and things like that, knowing how to release that tension and still remain light, not take it personal. Because again, you can come out and be like, man, I've been working my ass off, I deserve this. You could be talking all kinds of shit, talking crazy, and you don't realize how you coming off. It's like when somebody doing something that they want appreciation on, right? The person who, as soon as they do it, is complaining and talking about how much they did, and how and who not doing what and stuff like that. Even if the person deserves accolades and praise, they not gonna get it, because nobody wants to give nobody nobody wants to give nobody that kind of energy, who come off like, I did all this, I did all this, and I did. It's like, it's almost like it put a bad taste in your mouth, versus someone who is modest about what they've done, and it shows. That person is always going to get way more of, I can't even say what they want. They always going to get more and more recognition. And the thing about it is, they probably get it because they don't necessarily want it. They don't desire it. They probably like it and they probably appreciate it, but it's not what they did it for. People who complaining about what they did and all this other stuff, it's like, damn, okay, if that's the only thing, and everybody will appreciate it. So, like, it's not all the time, but most of the time, when somebody constantly got everything to say about what they did for everybody else, a lot of times it puts a bad taste in your mouth, because you start to see, like, oh, the reason you was doing it in the first place was probably because you wanted those things. You was desiring those things. So, it plays out like that. But we have to kind of keep that in mind going into Libra season. Like, you don't walk around with that chip on your shoulder. We still have to keep it light. But we care. But being fair isn't, you know, don't use fairness as an excuse to kind of make yourself a victim. You know what I'm saying? It's not fair. A lot of times when people say something's not fair, it's because they feel like a victim. And it's like, fair compared to who? You know what I'm saying? Because fairness ain't rooted in what you think is gonna make you feel good. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes people would say that, and anytime a kid say something ain't fair, is we can't do something they want to do. But that ain't even what fairness is about. That's why the rebuttal to that be like, oh, life ain't fair and stuff. And that ain't, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that, but the point of it is, it's not about your feelings. Sometimes it ain't about you at all. And a lot of times people use fair to justify making themselves a victim. And it's like, nah, you gotta kind of look at it from a different perspective sometimes. I would even argue, when we think about fairness in general, if we're relating it to the seventh house or Libra energy, that's a cardinal energy. One thing about cardinal energy, you have to create it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we talk about Cancer, you have to, if you want to care for something, you have to initiate that. You have to choose for yourself that I'm going to invest feelings and emotions into this thing, and I'm going to nurture it. Nurture is a verb. You know what I'm saying? So to nurture something is practice. To care about something is an active practice. It's a verb. All cardinals got to move with verbs. It's like, if you not doing it, if you looking around and saying, man, this ain't getting done, it's probably because you got to do it. It don't even feel, it don't always feel good, but that's not the point. You said Libra South, no, to learn everything not going to be fair. Right, right, right. And see, I'm glad you brought up the South Node, because even us going into Libra, the nose is about to shift, because it's getting close to I think it's about to be in Pisces and Virgo. Yeah, I think it's about to be in Pisces and Virgo. So the node's been shifting. That's pretty close. So it's eventually in there, but for right now, they not making a actually they are making a somewhat of a conjunction, the sun and the south node. So you remember what I was saying about that grand water trine, and we got Mars in Cancer and Venus in Scorpio related to the south node. See, this is a time where, like I said, discernment is the key. This is a time where we can make a lot of bad decisions on what looks tempting, like what looks like it's gonna feel good, what looks exciting, but it's exciting because it reminds you of a past good feeling or something like that. Like you people got very like just very discerning. Like we got to be very discerning and sure about our decisions at the moment because I'm so glad you brought that up because that's a key thing. The sun conjunct the south node. A lot of people might bite the axe upon them thinking that that's going to take them to a place that makes them feel more comfortable, and that could be you taking the first step towards rewinding, take back. You know what I'm saying? So we really have to respond differently to things that might present themselves as old things, even though we it don't look like we going through a grade because Mercury not there. People only recognize retrograde season when Mercury go retrograde, but we got damn near everything else in retrograde. Everything is farther planet. So a lot of decisions we make, you're not even gonna realize you went backwards till 2025 and everything shifts. Like this whole fall into the winter season, everything we was learning summer was so that we can make better decisions in the fall. A lot of people gonna make decisions that feel good maybe throughout throughout the winter or throughout the fall. But I'm telling y'all, around November and going into December, we're gonna get some of these islands going direct all the way up until I think it's like March 2025. And then there's another crazy alignment that's gonna take place where things have completely shifted how what it was. I mean, it's a lot of things that are leading up, you saying, from this energy. So a lot of what we make decisions on fall into the winter will affect will come back. You know, that's the thing with astrology. It's all about progression anyway. But that's something we got again, discernment. Don't be motivated to choose something based upon what entices your desires at the moment. You gotta be a bit more yeah, you gotta be discerning. But that's the thing with that Libra energy though, that it'll get you, because the South Node is everything that in a sense we've mastered or what we feel most comfortable with. And even at times feel like makes the most sense. The South Node a lot of times is the energy we feel like makes the world go round. It's like, oh, whatever your South Node in on a personal level, that's what seems like the normal thing to do. So when you're playing out energies in your North Node, you be complete new space. Like, whoa, what is this about? See, now the North Node being in Aries, that's why the key to everything is really in your ability to individuality. You know what I'm saying? And that's a that is what it is. We've been talking about individuality being the most powerful thing longest. And it's even gonna be more prominent now with the sun opposite the North Node. It's almost like I was saying before, you can choose to pick and try to fit in and try to control and create balance through others, or the proper way is to do it within yourself. So what's not balanced within you, address that. And what's going to happen is naturally you're going to be put in situations in which you're aligned more accurately with things that you're supposed to be aligned with. Not going to feel good initially, and it might not even make sense. But Venus and Scorpio, if you allow yourself to go to war with the things that's distracting you, the things that's pulling you away from where you actually want to go. Because see, a lot of times the instant gratification things are what's pulling us in the opposite direction of what is actually going to make us satisfied. Instant gratification is like a bag of chips versus uh actual goals and things like that being, a filet mignon or whatever it is you consider a gourmet meal. You know what I'm saying? That bag of chips, easy, cheap. I can grab it. You know what I'm saying? On the way to, I just hit the gas station up the street, or I'm I see the block, I see the bodega, the deli and shit like that. Grab me a bag of chips. Cool. I'm straight. I'm not hungry. But guess what? You filled yourself up with a bunch of bullshit. So at the end of it all, you didn't get no nutritional value. It didn't help you grow. It didn't help you actually satiate that hunger. You're gonna need a bag of chips in the next 20 minutes. versus you take the time to invest that gourmet meal shit. You might have enough that feeds you, make you full for the rest of the day, and you might have leftovers and stuff like that. And even though you might have spent more and stuff like that, the quality of the food kept you actually healthy. So you got a lot more out of it than you even realize, just based upon you taking that investment a little serious. Hold on real quick. But and that's one of the major things about it. Like we have to honor ourselves where we don't just take the cheap option based upon what we think is going feel good or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? We have to make decisions. Like shift is, can you be responsible? Can you actually make decisions that's based upon you in a long-term goal? Hold on. Oh shit. To fix the audio. But yeah, making decisions based upon the proper things versus the things that's gonna make you feel, what I'm saying, all the little petty stuff, what I'm saying, and based upon that, that's gonna help you in the long run. Because again, you might not see where the benefit is now, but it's all leading towards something, and it's about your ability to kind of stay strong throughout that back and forth. Because see, the sun is also gonna it's also gonna in conjunct Saturn. So a lot of things that we're trying to create stability around and reality itself is not going to a lot of those things are not going to make sense first in, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to make sense. You might start forgetting why you made restrictions for yourself, and you got to remind yourself, like, everything really, you should have been writing things down when even right now, I think Mercury is still in Virgo, writing things down, making sure you got something that can keep you on track and keep you reminded about why you even started doing certain things in a certain way. You have to gotta keep focused on that. So remember, the sun in conjunct Saturn to understand why you was doing certain things in a certain way. And you might forget reasons in which you was motivated. You might forget what the plan was. Don't forget the plan. Don't forget the orders. Don't forget what you actually set out to do. Don't fall into the trap of what the energy might get you wrapped up into. Like I said, there's going to be a lot more distractions. If you thought you was distracted before, you really ain't seen nothing yet, because Venus is some place where one thing you might get a hit of something that make you feel good and become obsessed with it. Again, a big distraction that will lead to you having to go through some kind of traumatic moment in which that thing that you were so addicted to or so obsessed with is snatched away from you, abusing it based upon going too hard on it, making it the act of everything. You done made it more important than everything you was doing. You done sacrifice eating and food, water for that one thing you were obsessed with. And where obsessing over something can destroy you. It can make you it can make weak. Even the something that was maybe made you feel like you were stronger before. Any addiction over time makes you weak. You might not feel like the effects of it makes you weak, but what is becoming more weak is your spirit, because your spirit strength is rooted in your ability to separate from certain things that's maybe, again, enticing your flesh, enticing your body, enticing your feelings. When we about things, like, a lot of times when people talk about addiction, or they talk about anything, they talk about chemicals. They be like, oh, dopamine, serotonin, and all these different things, and you don't need external things to create these things. A lot of times people create a dependency around these things, and that dependency on something, it's almost like you strength in your ability to create these things within yourself. As a spirit, you can create a sense of dopamine. With a good meditation or a good something, you can create serotonin. You can create these things. That's what it does. It does it on its own. But we live, again, you live in the world in society and things like that. And there's different things that give you spikes in that energy, quick fixes. If I do this, if I eat this, you eat sugar, dopamine. Oh, you know what I'm saying? You get a hit of that. And we, again, over time, we develop these habits, these addictions and stuff like that. And then guess what? It becomes what we're dependent on. But a lot of people in that process lose their connection, lose their ability to create it on their own. So when you're dopamine deficient and you don't know how to make yourself happy, you're so serotonin deficient because of your addiction, your habit that's creating that for you. You then became lazy on the energy, so you lost the strength and ability to create it for yourself. Guess what? That's a form of tying yourself to this world, because now in your mind, it's almost like, if you were to think about it, if you was left on your own devices, if you're not practicing these things become weak. And the thing is, life is crazy. Like, life is crazy in the sense that you can go your whole life not, because see, life is not necessarily going to put, like, nothing that you're required to learn these things for yourself. So a lot of people, their whole life saying, well, I'll just keep choosing the addiction versus actually building my strength as a spirit, because it's hardly in the only incentive you get is power, real control over yourself, which is, we understand, is the most powerful thing you can have, right? Your spirit to be free, because it's like choices and decisions you make is not influenced by anything, purely you. So you make decisions and choice. That's freedom. All your decisions is made based upon you, versus somebody who is dependent on, they can't do something without taking a hit of this. They feel something without taking a hit of that. They can't go about their day with getting some of this. Guess what? When they die, that carries on. Their spirit is almost like it forgets. So they either come into another lifetime. Like, if you were to think of a spirit looking for another body, they're gonna jump into another body who feels like they need that. Feels like they need, and the thing is, everything is what they say, internal, external. Everything is as within, out, as above, so below. So what was an addiction to a physical thing in this lifetime, you die, come back, it turns into a mental condition or a emotional deficiency or need, or in another lifetime. So it might have just been physical. You couldn't stop eating McDonald's burgers lifetime. But when you go into the next body, all of a sudden it's this dependency on, it's like this mental condition of gluttony on consuming things. So you treat people in a way of, you treat people like treating the McDonald's burgers. You got to drain everybody around you. You got to depend on everybody. You develop physical ailments and illnesses that require other people to be before you. And you might even have the attitude as if you expect them to be at your call, which creates even more emotional turmoil, because hurt people. And when hurt people hurt other people, they still feel that hurt, and it amplifies, because it's like, that's the part of it nobody talk about. When hurt people are hurting you, it don't even make them feel good. It makes them feel, it's like makes them hurt worse. You know what I'm saying? And it's not something, it's like, it's a cycle. It spreads, and again, y'all can see how cycles all of this summer. And again, it being a year 8, all of this year is about identifying these patterns and these cycles, and knowing how to cut them things off. Like, how do we stop this constant infinity loop that we keep going in, based upon things that's getting us wrapped into either certain feelings or certain mentalities, certain thoughts and shit like that. We create the distance between them. You know what I'm saying? So it does really get deep. But now when we talk about what's up, what is sun, we talked about the sun conjuncting the south node, opposite the north node, sun opposite Chiron, when it comes to mistakes and stuff like that. Right now, of course, we don't want to make a mistake, but we can slip into one. You can kind of make a mistake by trying too hard to not make a mistake, not to think about it too hard. It really is just about discernment, and discernment don't got a complicated process. You just got to be willing to understand. It's like a form of knowing how to balance with yourself. And I mean, I say that like it's easy, and it's really not. But you got to be honest with yourself right now. You got to know what's good for you, not the best choice based upon where you're going. You just got to remain focused on it. You know, everything is kind of reliant on what you've built as an understanding during Virgo season, because the proper thing, if you built a proper understanding of yourself and what you was going through, then the transition into Virgo is about men. That it's about knowing how to initiate things again based upon you controlling yourself, so you create balance with yourself. That's going to be you building relationships on the right pretense. So you got the right starting point for why you're initiating a conversation with this group of people. You got the right starting point when it comes to having this kind of relationship or starting that kind of business endeavor, or thinking that way, or even entertaining a relationship and keeping things back. Everything is going to be off the right starting point versus the other end of that I've been talking about. So in the other end being you trying to create balance through other people. So the money they got is going to balance your life. And that's not how it's supposed to work. You're supposed to balance yourself. And then with that balance, it might not be perfect, but you're doing what you can with that. And you recognize the other person and who they are, and you connect with, so on and so forth. It's more on a genuine level. Same thing for business. I'm not looking at the person I'm trying to collab with as my come up. I'm looking at it as, okay, I'm already doing what I do. I see them do what they do aligns with what I do and who I am and shit like that. Okay, bet. I think we can make something better if we combine our energies and we focus. You know what I'm saying? That's how collaboration should even look. You know, people, and again, collaborations that come out of nowhere and just be random, they might be genuine, but you need to take enough time that out and actually see, okay, well, what have they been doing for themselves, and have proper conversations about what we're actually doing, so that point of clarity versus, you know, because again, number one issue in a lot of these situations be lack of clarity, you know, and of course that takes communication and being able to be open and being, you know, as clear as you can be. But when somebody comes and is trying to get you to do something and collaborate with them, but they come in an unbalanced aspect, they come in a very weird way. Somebody you haven't talked to again, like that keep coming up for me. Somebody you haven't talked to in ages. I mean, unless they really trying to kick some real stuff, but you know, honestly, if you haven't been in contact with this person for the last couple, if y'all haven't, if this the first time y'all talking at all this whole year, then you should be questioning like, okay, what is this about? And get to the root of that first. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't advise getting too associated or too in cahoots with anybody right now, just off the energy. Because see, even with this water trine, people are trying to appeal to your emotions right now. People are trying to come to you as if, man, come on, we family, or come on, we connected, come on, this, don't you remember this, nostalgia and all this stuff. And you gotta like be in a space where you're able to say, wait, hold on, you know, what is this really? A lot of people are trying to escape things. A lot of people are moving in desperation. A lot of people are in fear, and that fear is leading them to do things that's make them feel more comfortable. But you know, there should always, at this point, to look for mutual exchange, even when you're engaging with other people. If there's things you want to do, figure out where things can be mutually beneficial for everybody involved. Because mutual benefit, then, and the thing is, everybody values something different, but it's about taking the time. Like sometimes people don't take the time to figure out what's mutually beneficial for the people involved in whatever it is they got going on. And that's really just kind of laziness. Like always try to go the extra mile to see where things can at least be mutually beneficial. Don't just look for what you're gonna get out of it. See what they can get, and don't be lazy about what they can get out of it. Be open for the negotiation. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times people might offer something, like for instance, you might be a photographer or something like that. Somebody will be like, yeah, you know, I really need some shots for my business. You know, you can go ahead and do a project for me, and I'll give you exposure. And you got to be realistic. Like, man, look, you don't even know that many people and stuff. And let's be real. What's more valuable to me is maybe paying me or maybe getting me some money or something like that. So it's like, don't be the person who takes the short end of the stick based upon what somebody gave you and thinking it's just scraps. Really take the time to stand up for yourself too and be like, well, nah, I think negotiate. Think, oh, nah, I think actually if we could work something out like this, that'll be better. You know, don't be afraid to negotiate. Don't be afraid to put your foot in the door and say, wait a minute, this wouldn't be fair for me unless X, Y, and Z is taken care of. And that's how you have a more healthy form of compromise in the first place too. You know, all that manipulating stuff and trying to convince somebody like, oh nah, like I'm gonna just do this, and you know, you'll just get whatever. You need to be clear. You know, also Libra is dealing with contracts and stuff like that. Right. Yeah. Setting boundaries. Right. Yeah, just about to say that. Like Libra is all about contracts and stuff. And part of contracts is contractual agreements are boundaries and restrictions that keep things contained. You know what I'm saying? It's about containment, keeping things in order and stuff like that. And so we might have to go through experiences in this energy that keeps things in order. We have to make sure we're protected in certain instances. And that's on the physical end, but even in boundaries are a form of your contract with yourself. You know what I'm saying? You said, no, 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 no. But you know what I'm saying? So different things, you gotta formulate certain aspects where you know, your boundary contract with yourself, meaning, you know, I'm not going to cross this boundary. I'm not going to allow somebody to do X, Y, Z to me. I'm not going, and again, a lot of confidence in your ability to even trust yourself. Because that's what confidence is your ability to confide in yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, you're not gonna have a strong enough form, you're not gonna have enough confidence. So your boundaries, when people say boundaries, it's just a contract they have with themselves. And break that boundary, when they break that contract, this is where people become very it hurts, you know what I'm saying? It hurts in a way in which you might brush off, but what it does is it forces you to kind of you lose a little bit of confidence in yourself. So you trust yourself less, and that affects other aspects of your life. And depending on how that boundary was broken, a lot of times that boundary allowed another energy to get in your space. And so now you're kind of dealing with a fight that you didn't have to fight just based upon you breaking that contract with yourself. Shout out to Z Garden, you know what I'm saying? Zay Corner in the building. You know what I'm saying? My boy, the dude himself. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and check out his latest tape. He got some real good stuff cooking. You know what I'm saying? Real good stuff cooking. Also, he be kicking that real knowledge that we all need. Right now, it's more important than ever, you know, whatever it is that you do, to get up and just make sure you do it. You know what I'm saying? See, one thing about Libra too is like, remember, the sun falls in Libra. That's why the desperation energy coming out. That's why the dependency energy is going to start to come out in the scheming and the wait a minute, if I might lose it all, I need to get on this person team, I need to do that. You know, but keep in mind that, you know, seasons come, seasons go. We just got to know the best way to navigate that. Don't let it scare you into doing things that's not true to you. You know, if you got to rest. If you got to do, you know, you might have energies that's opposite this. Do what you do, but don't let the seasons determine you. You just know what is going on. So you know how to maneuver it with your own energy. So us understanding that the sun might fall, understand that, yeah, it might be bouts of laziness. It might be certain things that you don't even feel strong enough to do. You might lack confidence in certain areas based upon nobody else around you rooting for you. And you might start to get a little nervous based upon, you know, your own relatability. You might feel like, man, I'm not relating to people right, or I feel like I'm rubbing people the wrong way. You got to accept certain things and just, you know, stay focused on task. You know, you never know when you're going through a transition in which, you know, you're meant to rub people the wrong way in that instance for the sake of your own development, your own character development. You don't be knowing when it's okay. It's like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of times, especially with this astrology stuff, people get in their heads a lot about going about life. And you got to remember, like, life is about living. It's about going outside and seeing for yourself. So you can't be trapped within the confines of our concepts of things, you know what I'm saying? And when I say our concepts, I mean, again, anybody you listen to or anything, it's like, if you're not seeing it for yourself, don't get wrapped up and overthink what is just natural to go through. You know what I'm saying? He said, I've been viewing my fear and overthinking as very crafty ways to stay lazy. Right. Yeah, bro. Cause your mind is the way that is it. Your mind be the biggest, like, somebody has said it. They was like, your mind will literally, it's like you cannot trust your mind sometimes because it will completely put you in a space where you think something is justified. And that's actually a key thing, justification. And shout out to who Eli. Yeah, he said everything in a fallen position for real, man. And you know, like, And that's what I was saying before with Venus and Scorpio, Mars and Cancer. Everything is where it's not supposed to be. Jupiter is in damn near Jupiter's in Gemini. You know what I'm saying? We've been had Uranus and Taurus, but that's not an energy that go along with anything. You know what I'm saying? Like everything is kind of upside down, bro. That's some real shit. Like I was just pointing that out with Venus and Mars the other day, and I said the other day earlier in the video. And what else is something else I was gonna point out too, but that's you know what I'm saying. But he said Pisces is holding us down, or no is on our way. Yeah, man. Yo, but yeah, that's kind of what that's the thing too, because like at the end of the day, even that Saturn energy, reality, and what's really going down, that's like the beautiful thing about that Saturn and Pisces energy is kind of giving everybody like the underlying focus really is on escapism and choosing not, knowing how to choose things that's not going to keep you in escapism, choosing things that's actually going to allow you to create the reality you're trying to create. Being rooted in reality, but at the same time, still having belief in yourself to make a better situation out of what's going on. But in that belief is what's supposed to motivate you to stay present, to stay in the mix, and stay being like, okay, I could put this together, I could do that. Otherwise you're just gonna drift off. But back to what you were saying though, like about fear and overthinking and crafty ways to stay lazy. That's exactly what it is. The mind is always going to justify what feels comfortable, because you got to think about it. The mind as an organ was created by your spirit to keep your body running. So the mind is always going to do things to protect its natures, protect its body, protect what's physical. And that's where the difference between the mind you create and your spirit come into play. Your spirit got to always be a step above that and look at the situation as, look, I know this might feel dangerous, but we have to go there, because right there is where we need. It's like you're the operator still. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, I don't want to make that analogy, because I don't, at this point, I don't want to perpetuate any ideas that make people look at life as the Matrix or life as a video game or anything like that, because this shit is very real. And we cut to the chase. Your mind created, your spirit created your mind. So this you're operating, and you got to just know the difference. The mind is everything related to natures. So again, what feels good is not always right. What feels wrong is not always bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, feeling wrong, again, you might be Aries in Libra season. It might feel wrong to relate, but that don't make it bad. Sometimes you got to relate, and you might find that doing that thing that felt wrong or felt not good was actually the best thing you could have ever did for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll be so surprised. The same thing even with the and really that's what we was feeling a lot with Virgo season. The sun was in Virgo, but Pisces, Saturn, it was like, hey, the reality here is whether or not it's like we, without a sense of belief, something to believe in or anything like that, it would have been almost impossible to kind of stay on track when it comes to Virgo energy without something deeper to at least attach some kind of form of a meaning and reasoning. Why do I need this routine? Oh, because I believe that I have the potential to make my life or situation better. Why would I have something to keep on schedule and stay consistent with? No, nothing that was made. No, nobody ever committed to something that they didn't truly believe in. So the commitment aspect is like that constant working on something, the curiosity or the ability to look and dive into details and being like, okay, let me figure this out. Nobody would be committed to figuring anything out if it wasn't some kind of meaning and reasoning they attached to it. If there wasn't some feeling that made them compelled to keep on trying. Nobody would do anything difficult if they didn't believe in that difficulty leading to a plan. And that's the thing about this world too, is like nothing in everything in here is going to be a challenge, whether you choose laziness or not. It's just a matter of how you want it now or you want it later. You want it harder or you want it in a difficult time, going to be smooth later. And that all of that is dependent on you. You know what I'm saying? All of these is choices you got to make for yourself. So, that's the first thing we all got to keep in mind too when we're operating and moving in life. And then Libra season, at the end of it all, it really is about, look, bro, we got this whole look. We got this whole part. But these niggas said, let me come right there. These niggas said, let me come right here. Got this whole space. This nigga said, "Yo, I'm gonna come right in that little area that he in," because they felt the energy and stuff. Like that should be so funny. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. So that's just something we got to keep in mind. So back on these alignments. So the Sun in Libra, also looking at Sun in Libra, what else? Trine in Jupiter, you know what I'm saying? So on the other end of things, we do have a gift of expansion. So through what we're relating to, it's like you can look at it like this. You can relate to some new information, right? But make sure you're relating to the right information. Jupiter and Gemini is still distraction energy. Everything at this time, there's a lot of distractions, even with election season and stuff like that. So even that dude that was in here saying free Diddy and shit like that, man, fuck that shit. But even the Diddy shit, it's a distraction. Not to say real things ain't going on in the industry that kind of that show and expose a different aspect of things. Because I kind of do want to talk about certain things I see happening as far as the transformation and restructuring of industry. Because see, one thing you don't realize too, we've been talking about the society and how things are crumbling, transitioning, and changing. We in a new time, new age. Everything is crumbling. Old perceptions of the world and society is all being renewed. A lot of that people might not look at what's happening in the music industry as something uh signifying anything else. Because see, a lot of people will talk about that like, oh, it's not the same, hip hop not the same, blah, blah, blah. And it's like it's so much deeper than that. It's showing you like everything that was built on. Because I look at the Diddy, I be looking at that as like be past, like I'm not even talking about the freak shit that he was on, but it shows you, it's like it represents a split. Because like everybody will say, oh, when it comes to music, hip hop, all the '90s and stuff, '90s hip hop and shit like that. He basically was the face of that. This shit kind of going down the way it is. It's almost show you the end of that era. We are no longer in that little '90s to 2000. Like this is a complete shift cutoff into a whole new phase. And the reason I'm holding, and again, when I say significant, I don't mean like I'm making it that more important than what it really is, but it's another representation of we in a whole new time. Everything previous to this is like 2025 is that jump off point. You know what I'm saying? It really is 2025. You got to remember, 2025 is going to be a year nine, and year nines are the actual death and full culmination of things like when we talk about numerology. So like 2025 represents that whole it's like it's already, we seeing it right now transforming in the year 8, but in 2025 is going to be the complete death of it. So keep in your mind, you want as an individual, whatever you're going through, whatever you're doing, whatever you're building yourself up to participate in, or what you're involved in and what you're invested in, you got to really understand you are preparing yourself in a sense for that new life. That, and I don't even want to say it like that because that sounds too fairy tale, like that new life shit like that. But it really is. You gotta know, you gotta put your feet in the ground and get yourself situated so that you can maneuver in a healthy way as these things continue to, because that's what the shift is going on. You know what I'm saying? And we can't miss nothing right now. We can't miss nothing right now. Like it's too much at stake. It's too much at stake, and and all it comes down to is just, again, in this particular season, a level of discernment needs to be put in place. you know and a lot of it, the sun is going to be squaring Pluto, so there's a lot we have to learn about transforming the way we relate, both to ourselves and when we're doing these dealings with other individuals and we're relating to other people. We got to figure out, okay, we got to learn a better way of going about these things, where our sense of power and control isn't so rooted in what somebody else is doing and what they got going on. We got to create our own. We got to be able to feel good and strong on our own and not use our power out of fear to try to prevent or try to maneuver other people. And I'm not saying that, like I said, I'm not ever advocating to be a fool or to look at things as if what I'm saying, I'm not saying to be a fool about certain things. You know what I'm saying? It's all with just keep that up there. I'm not saying to be a fool about certain things, but we have to just find different ways to go about, you know. But and that's the sun squaring Pluto. So it's learning that aspect, learning what, because again, you might be relating in a way in which you think something is powerful. You think a way you going about something is strong and in control, or you might even think you in control of something. But that sense of what you think you got control over might be rooted in the wrong shit. It might be what you seemingly got control over based upon how you feel like you got a grip on somebody else's life, or it might be you think certain aspects of you are so important that it supersedes somebody else's ability to have their own decisions and choices and stuff like that, or vice versa. You might be a person around people who think they control you based upon what they do for you or what they don't do, or what, you know what I'm saying. So you have to also identify that aspect too, of being able to take that power back in your own hand and create balance in that form. Because let's say you in a situation right now in Libra season where you in a similar situation where uh you are somebody is trying to relate to you in a way in which they're trying to project what they want onto you, and they're projecting onto you. So you start to feel like, oh well, they're trying, it's kind of like when somebody hits you with fake kindness and try to guilt you into doing something that you don't really want to do, but you like, man, because of my relationship with this person, I might have to compromise myself for that. And if you can spot that that's coming from a distant, like a negative place, or a place that's not genuine, then that's when, in order to get out of that same thing, find it within you the strength to separate based upon what's right for you. You know what I'm saying? Create balance with yourself through you, not them. So don't you might not have to jump into some kind of external battle or competition with them. You might just be able to remove yourself entirely, or find better things for you. Again, even if they are putting up a facade, let's say they being fake and they're trying to make everything pleasant and stuff, right? And let's say you don't want to make it more dramatic than it needs to be. You don't want to necessarily burn that bridge, but you do want to create space so you can impose your boundaries. You know what I'm saying? So if you stay strong to your boundaries, that's going to keep you protected, in a sense of they'll either get the hint and redirect themselves, or they'll expose themselves where they can't use that fake kindness in the sake of trying to kill you with it. Like they have to expose themselves for the demon they are. And so be exposed, and then you can, okay, now it's time to separate. Yeah, be gone. You know what I'm saying? Get behind me. So those different aspects also going to be a factor too, if you on the other end of this Libra energy, where people are coming to you and manipulate you, or trying to be in your face, get related with you, or use your relationship as a leverage point or some kind of thing to kind of get in between stuff. You said, he said, but where is the hermit energy coming from? So the hermit energy is coming from the pressure. Like, it's a lot of pressure right now. If you were to think, and see, the thing about even hermit energy, you got to look at it like, hold on, you said, or to be sincere and genuine surprise, as if they double down. Right, 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 right. And see, the thing about sincerity, I'm gonna get into that in a second. But to answer your question, is it Lee? To answer your question about where the hermit energy is coming from, two things. One, everybody going through something different. So depending on your energy and where you at too, it might be something that you're experiencing more so, where you feel more like, oh, you might be in a hermit space, or people around or whoever you might be observing is more playing out energies of needing to conserve themselves. But overall, if I was to answer that question, I'd say it's most likely coming from the type of energy, the pressure of it. There's a lot of the Virgo energy brings a lot of hermit, because it's about building on something. So the earth energy is an internal thing. Earth and air kind of share that left brain axis of what's internal and external. You think and make sense about something before you communicate it and externalize it. So the earth energy from Virgo makes everybody very critical. And that critical, it's almost like, okay, let me hone in and keep things conserved so I could fix things and adjust things, right? Because even for me, like I had to play out energy where it was like going live, right? I wasn't making as many lives as often as I would like to, right? But that's because I had to do a lot of work, a lot of working behind the scenes that required my focus. And so it was a decision I had to make based upon what was best for the bet, what was necessary for things to continue to work, things to continue to move forward with everything in my life. You know what I'm saying? So based upon when we're going through different times, it might require our focus to be in a certain space for the sake of something being better later. So all the work I did, it made me a lot more free and flexible moving forward into Libra, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. But getting back to your question, like about that, it could be the Virgo energy playing out. Um, Energy like us in Cancer, because Mars in Cancer is another aspect of where, let's say you got passions, but right now it's almost like you prevent yourself from being outward with your passions based upon insecurity and how you feel about that passion. It might not feel the same. You might not be comfortable in it. People might, and when I say you, I'm really talking about the collective. People might not feel as confident in their passions, or if they do feel confident in them, understand that their passions are more it's more beneficial if they take the time to put more care and intentional energy into passion about right now. That's kind of how it plays out like that. So Hermit energy is coming from a little bit of that Mars and Cancer, that Virgo energy. We still got Mercury and Virgo, right? What else? And I kind of think, see, the we in right now too is a lot, like I said before, Mercury not in retrograde. The personal not really in retrograde, but damn near everything else is. Saturn, Neptune, uh, Uranus, Pluto. You know, these different planets that are more, they don't really influence us directly like these outer planets, but the thing is, they do when they're with either our personal planets or the personal planets in general. Like, for instance, we got Neptune still trining Mars. We got Neptune trining Venus. So how that'll play out with a generational planet or an outer planet influencing one of those personal planets, if the outer planet is in retrograde, it's almost like it just doesn't feel like the right time. So it might be something you can on and something you're getting prepared for, but being that Venus and Mars is trine in Neptune, it just might not feel the right time, or there might be a certain vibe where it's just not the, something's not aligned yet. And like we always say, like, oh, there's never a right time for something, but we understand too that time's a big factor. There's a time and place for everything. So it's not about procrastinating past the time. Like, it's a difference between procrastination and preparation. And we, say, and depending on what side of the scale you on, the energy will either look like preparation, aka you're not holding back and hiding stuff based upon fear. You're honing in and focusing to develop a skill or ability to prepare yourself for what you know is coming. So that difference between a hermit energy on a positive end and the hermit energy on the negative end. But hopefully answer your question though. And then the sun going into Libra, it makes it more sociable, but more so because it has to be. The social aspect of Libra is more so because it has to be, not so much because it feels completely comfortable doing that. And that's another aspect too, because the sun falls in Libra. So it's like Libra is a sign, but Libra understands the fact that, how important relationships are. But that doesn't mean that, like, for instance, people would be like, oh, Libras, are all about relationships, but they don't make things personal. Relationships might be superficial, they might be surface level, and they might, again, that fake energy. And the thing about it is, it's not that they're fake, and it's not that the energy is fake, but it's just the way in which is, got to understand the context of Libra. Libra is relating because it understands the functional relationship, not necessarily because it feels connected or like it's necessary in the aspect of the emotional aspect. Like you might you can look at a square sign, Cancer. Cancer understands the nature of family or connection, privacy in that form. Um, you know what I'm saying? Libra is looking at it like, well, it's like, and you can kind of break this down based upon what energies what planets the energy is made up from. Libra's Venus, and it's also an exaltation of Saturn. The exaltation of Saturn and Venus, that combination, that's rooted in, again, functionality, what sense, practicality in the sense of what can be built. So the pretenses of what people, of what a relationship even is. It wasn't made to make you feel good. It wasn't made to make you comfortable. A relationship wasn't created. It like the energy itself wasn't the functionality of seventh house isn't to make you comfortable, and it isn't to make you feel deep and connected like the eighth house, or it's not meant to support your dreams and imagination. It's literally designed to create balance in the sense of applying two energies to build something. It's dealing with Saturn, it's dealing with Venus. So value mixed with other people's value leads to something being able to stand the test of time. The quality of something to be, substantial and strong and stuff like that, sturdy. So that's kind of where the misconception is. But yeah, right. You keep saying setting boundaries, right? Right. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff. So that's what we gotta understand. Yeah, like different things like that. Um, yeah, just a tangent and stuff like that. But so when we talk about and then what you said, Z, you said it'd be sincere and genuine, surprise later as if they double down, right? That sincerity energy. That's kind of the root of things, like with sincerity, right? You said really damn, that was a quick paradigm shift. Yeah, like it really, yeah. I mean, that's where we in right now. You know what I'm saying? We in the midst of, like even today, like today being the equinox and stuff like that, like we say those things, and this is what my frustration with pop culture astrology is, because it's like we can say these things all we want, but these things really represent the really major changes in our life that come from small decisions and small changes. Like right now, it really is the half of we've gone through. We at the half point of the year, so at the half point of the year, the harvest and all that, we was gathering things so that we go through this roller coaster without too much turbulence, or with the right, at least right mentality to go through the fall. You know what I'm saying? And so people who prepared themselves will be in a space where it makes sense to get out and do what they need to do. Kind of like what Z said. He said, don't sleep on your ability to inspire those around you. Like that's what it's kind of about, right? Too, in a sense. Like those who built themselves up and did something with the Virgo energy. And the Virgo energy come from, again, if we start from Aries was a spark, an idea that we had, and we didn't have all the facts, but we did what we could to be, and we did it. Then Taurus, we shaped it up a little bit. Might have had to be stubborn, but we kept the consistency. Gemini, we started talking about it, right? And we started to learn more about what was wrong about what we had. But again, we had to keep going, and we would spread the magic. Cancer, we had to get very into ourselves and figure out these different dynamics. So what can keep us protected, but also stepping out of that comfort. Cancer season is all about, can I stay myself even if I'm going through tense, and even if I'm feeling resistance. And then Leo, we had to pop out, set that stage, and be who we are in the face of adversity. And now Virgo, we clean up. At this point in time, what we should be left with is the result of all of our efforts, all of that focus. It should have went into, and again, like when I say these things, it's not about perfection. It's just about, again, when you live life, that's all God is. You get out and be you. So the work is really just you being yourself and going through different disappointments, changing expectations, having to take things back, knowing when to apologize. When I say apologize, I mean knowing when to take accountability for your energy being in the wrong place, your misstep, your false starting point, or starting point that was in the wrong area, sin, missing it entirely. That's all in that accountability aspect. You also being able to stand on your two and be confident in what you did get right. You know what I'm saying? Because we focus on what went wrong, and we beat ourselves up a lot of times, but also acknowledge where things went right. Like, damn, yo, I chose to stand up for myself here, because see, one thing too in this year, a lot of things here, because there's a correlation between 2020 and this year, and even 2026, in the sense of this being the period of time of transition. Like 2020 represented like that happened, things changed, we already know, right? And we started to get the first inkling on, oh, what I need to separate on and what's going on here, boom, boom, boom. Hit 20, like right now, 2024, a lot of what's going on now is like a reflection, but in a sense, a correction to what went wrong probably like 2021 and a little too. It's like if you look at it, a lot of experiences we're going through, especially in this retrograde season, are you can a lot of y'all probably can see the parallels. Maybe it's completely different situation, but there's parallels between what was going on now and what you know now, and able to make better decisions on based upon what you was going through 2021 going into 2022 that you just didn't know better. You didn't quite have all the pieces. But that's what the year 8 does. It brings you right back to these different counterpoints to say, hey, you learned the lesson, you have the opportunity now to break that cycle and then initiate a whole new. And what you're breaking is the starting point for you to completely shift your life into a better direction. And when I say better direction, I really just mean move forward, because even that is fantasy talk when we be like, oh, every change you're making now is going to make you into a better situation. And the thing is, in a sense, it's correct, because yes, it's a better than anything. Any change is low key better than staying in a cycle. But there's always going to be another thing, another complication, another struggle, another level with new devils and shit like that. So it's always going to be a matter of going, you know what I'm saying? It's not really, it's like it can get better for you, but it's really you just getting stronger and more equipped and then seeing something new, a new experience, which always seems, you know what I'm saying? And so in a sense, it's better, but not better in a sense of it's going to feel good to get to the next step. It's always going to be another challenge, but you can feel good with the sense of knowing that, okay, at least I did something that's going to change my life. I'm changing, I'm moving, I'm doing what the spirit needs to do, because the spirit got to change. But back to what I was saying, that the whole 8 this year being a year 8, it's literally us getting faced with these cycles and choosing to break them. And from there, we have a new starting point that we can jump off and make new connections and new correlations and stuff. And that's really what we're supposed to be doing. But yeah, it's a crazy shift going on right now. But the difference between now and back then is that we gotta approach everything with a level of maturity, and that maturity is your ability to look at the situation and say, okay, this decision, I used to make this decision because I was afraid. I used to make this decision because I felt like I needed to escape something. I made this decision because I didn't know any better. Now we got to know better. We got to look at it and be like, okay, yeah, this is what feels the most natural, and this might feel good, but I need to make something natural. I need to make, and see us going through the struggle now is going to lead to a better situation. It's going to lead to a better it's going to lead to us being equipped to handle again, 20, like I said, 2020, 2024, and 2026. In 2026, we're going to be in that new time. 2025 is where Neptune, Aries, Uranus, Gemini, the North Node, Pisces, you know what I'm saying? It's like, y'all feel what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of people like to skip steps. That's why I said this is going to be one of them times people are going to look back on and say, damn, I chose everything for quick gratification and it fucked me up in the end. I took them bag of chips instead of that gourmet meal that was going to keep me fed on the right pretenses, going to keep me healthy, going to keep me strong. The bag of chips, I needed another one and another one and another one. Before I knew it, I gained 20 pounds. And now I got heart problems. I got high blood pressure. I got this. I got that. I need to go to the hospital. I need insulin. I need this. All that bullshit, on a spiritual level. Right now we got to be very just wise and mentally stable, mentally strong and stable, to be able to say, oh no, I'm saving for something more higher quality. Also a key factor into Libra. Libra is an energy of sophistication. It's an energy of quality. That's what Venus is. I feel like a lot of this high quality energy, the way you approaching things, your way of speaking, high intelligence, sophistication, all these different things. We need to start to apply this into how we move. We got to move more sophisticated. We got to move like there's that like we value ourselves. Basically, you move like you value yourself. And the thing is, Venus is position wise first house to where the Libra energy going in. So a lot of how we should be looking at Venus, like Venus is in a very it's almost like Venus in Scorpio, similar to Venus in Aries, but We just have to be more aware of the emotionality, you know what I'm saying? Because Venus in Aries is about loving yourself and being secure with yourself in order to be able to make the proper decisions when it comes to what you would love and appreciate and value. If you don't value yourself, everything you choose is going to be rooted in things that devalue you. So that's kind of we have to approach this. The sun is the 12th house from the sun's position is in the 12th house too, where Venus is at. I don't want to confuse y'all because I know that might be like, huh? But you're just looking at where the sun is at right now and imagining that's the first house collectively. So if we look at the sun being in Libra, first house collectively, Scorpio we know is one sign above it. My bad, it's the second house, you know what I'm saying? But it's still a sense of value in yourself for the sake of again, it's like developing your own sense of self-esteem because that's kind of what uh that's somewhat of what self-esteem, that's like the second house energy, Taurus energy. It's about that self-esteem thing, having a good sense of who you are in order to, it's like it's almost, it creates that stability, that stableness, you know what I'm saying? Zay said these detriments are about focusing solely on what you actually care about, right? Inspiration, Aries North, no, age of the individual. And he said that's where I trust God will give me grace through those would need it. Right. Through those times you really would need it. He said, no need to see. I spent the last 4 years on that tip, blowing up spots for gratification, ego. Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. Yeah, man, you hit it on the head. And that's even saying with that Venus energy. It's like everything comes down to that aspect of after all you've been through, you have to know, you have to have that self-importance. You have to have that self-value for yourself. You got to know, like, man, okay, I don't need to rely on the external things to kind of boost me. You know what I'm saying? Everybody at this point in time, and like you had said, like the age of the individual, like it really is that where we got to be able to be, we have to create these things for ourselves. And see, the thing about it is individuality goes even further than just with people. It goes with the things you rely on. So a lot of people rely on other people's reactions to make them confident. So if I put out a song and nobody likes the post, are you gonna put out another song, or are you gonna stop entirely? Or are you gonna sit around and complain about that for another couple months to procrastinate actually just getting better at your craft? You know, it's like how centered can you? I mean, how I think a good word to use is grounded. See the moon in Taurus and stuff like that we just had. That was a good time for grounding, and you know I could say that, you know, but for the most part, hopefully you did something that grounded yourself and made you feel more secure moving into this energy. And then Libra, it's a similar thing where from, like I was saying, the transition from Virgo into Libra, anything you've worked on, you work towards, that should be results that you can carry with you in any room. And that is your leverage. That's your portfolio. That's your, like, look, you know, and again, these aren't things that you're listing off and praised for. These are things that you can remind yourself, keep you focused on not only your value and what you bring to the, I hate saying bring to the table, but what you bring to the table. But it's almost like the service you can offer, though, not what you bring to the table as if, I brought all this to the table. It's about skills and things that you can contribute to. Like, I think that's a good point too. When people even say things like bring to the table, they as if they brought something, like they brought the food or they brought, and they sit at the table and go, I brought this to the table. I think a better way to look at that is to say it's more like your ability to set that table. Like, friends, like when you think, like, when people be like, oh, I brought this to the table, it's almost as if they like, oh, I brought this plate, I got this food and stuff like that. I think it's more about your ability to make that table look presentable versus, versus looking at it like I brought this. It's more like looking at, oh well, I have a certain willingness. I know what I can do to make that table more enhanced. I can add this to the table. I could make sure some candles right here. I can make sure we can do this right here. I could bring the chairs up. It's like a will, because if you think about, man, I'm about to, that's a whole tangent and shit like that. But I kind of want to I kind of want to explore it. Like, it's like when people talk about that shit, we need to look at it less about what we feel. you say, "Oh, I brought this to the table," people think it's a form of me being who I am and what I've been through and stuff like that. That makes me valid at the table. When it's not about that at all, because any relationship or anything is a blank. It's a blank table. If you were to think of just a wooden table, just random, it's more about y'all looking at that blank table. I'm going to decorate it with X, Y, and Z. I'm to bring this. It's more of a present thing. People talk about that shit like it's a past tense. Like I done already brought everything, and now you gotta bring something. We gotta lay it all out. And it's more like no, it's more us agreeing that hey, this is our table, and so I'm going to do my part to make this part pretty. This part look good. This part look sophisticated. This part look presentable, and you do your part to, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, what value do you bring to the table? You said that we both evolve from, right? It's like we got to look at it as a blank table that we set in versus I done already brought something. I had this. I've been cooking this ever since. It's like nah, like let's look at it as a blank table and like I said, a little tangent and stuff like that. Little tangent, just shit I be thinking about sometimes as far as how people try to relate to each other and stuff because it comes off pretentious. It come off egotistical. You know what I'm saying? You coming to the table with stuff that like for instance, if we talk about food that you done brought to the table, you cook that over somebody else's house. That's something you experienced with somebody else, and you trying to bring that to, oh, I'll bring all this to the table. And it's like, no, it should look like this is a blank table that we starting at, and hey, well, I have these skills and I can do this and I can make this start look decorated, and you could do that and make that part decorated. You know, if I got the sheet that go over the table, you candle fixtures and you got the silverware. I can get the plates and stuff. More collaborative rather than already looking at this as a pre-made situation and saying I'm me. And then he said he said it's a potluck, right? Exactly, right. It's a potluck. Like yeah, you cook that over somebody else's house. I cook with you today in this space. Like we gotta cook something today. I don't care what you brought from previous days. Build something today. Cook something today. I don't want leftovers and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like I said, just having fun with shit. But shout out to the Hanged Empress up in here. But yeah, um, shout out to and also again, I wanted to revisit what Zay had said about like he had said in that you said because you said something that was interesting. You said the detriments are based on what you actually care about, and that's what I wanted to reiterate too. He said, "Facts. I need to tap in with our soul group, Tarot Queens." Yeah, right. Good business, good business. But back to what like the part of what Zay said that I thought was important too is the part about the detriment about knowing what you actually care about, and that's the thing too. Like that's what it really shows you, and I think that's even what Libra represents too, in the sense of being that it's the fall of the sun. Only so much you can do with your energy. So the question is, how do that's why in Libra season or to a Libra in Libra energy, balance is so important, because at times in which you can't provide a certain energy or you can't do something, you can't hold up your portion, where are you going to be compensated? Because see, when it comes to Libra 2, prosody, compensation. And because when it really matters, when you don't have energy to do something, what's going to come through and what's going to be there. And it's about, and that's why discernment is important, because discernment is, it's like you're working with a limited resource. You working with, you only got what you got. So you have to know how to handle that. It's like, again, a kid with $1 million and stuff like that, or a person who don't know what to do with that money versus somebody how to do it. Like, man, it be situations like I had a friend, right? I had a friend who got an inheritance. Bro got like almost $200,000, right? He ain't know what to do with it. So he kept picking apart with it. You know what I'm saying? He kept taking it apart. He kept taking from that pot, taking from that pot. Before you knew it, he was broken about a year. Versus if you knew what to do with it, a person who know what to do with it, they would have. maybe like the choices that bro made. He was trying to buy more vehicles. He was trying to buy another car. He totaled another car. He's like, oh, I'm buying a car, which again depreciates in value. He chose to do certain things like he's quit his job and stuff like that and say, oh, I'm just gonna live off this 200,000. I'm just gonna do this, that, and the third. Like I said, in a year he was broke. Versus somebody who might have known better what to do with that money. They would have kept their job. They would have invested something like bought a house and did other things. But my point is, that's the thing with you're working with something that's limited, your energy during this time. So there's going to be, like I said before, bouts of that laziness, bouts of not really knowing what to do and kind of sitting around. You got to know how to actually maneuver what's worth your time, what's worth your energy. How do I leverage my energy and stuff like that? And that even goes down to jobs and stuff like that. You need to know that job, that schedule you got, whether or not it's a good use of your time. And you also have to know what to do with your time outside of that. You know, enough of that. Let's see what else we talking about. The sun, right? We talked about Pisces, Aries, talked about Taurus. It's the sun in conjunction Uranus. So again, don't compromise your individual. You still need to be an individual. Make sure that if you're investing in something, it's that is correlated and aligned with what you value and what you want to do as an individual. Don't agree to do things that you don't truly feel invested in. If you don't feel invested in it, be honest and allow yourself to, because see, if you don't, lead to misunderstandings. It's going to lead to a situation in which you got to explain to somebody why uh, why you can no longer can participate, or you're going to have to explain like, man, I was never really into this in the first place. And again, it goes back to you initiating relationships during this time that's based upon the wrong pretense. You have to really make sure that you're doing things that's aligned with your values. If they're not aligned with your individual values, it's just going to create a problem later. You know what I'm saying? Something you're going to have to explain and kind of flatten out and get later on. Next thing is moon. Yeah, okay. Taurus, Gemini. We talked about the trine, the gift of um being able to engage in your experiences. Again, a relationship with expansion, a relationship with your experiences. Make sure it's actually, again, it's not a distraction. It's not something that is rooted in group think, because like that airheaded energy out where you do things because you see everybody else do it. Your friends doing something, you think it's something you need to be into now. Again, you have to stay honest with your individuality and stay in alignment with that. And honestly, it's more so individuality in the sense of think more Aquarian than you could Aries, but when you think Aries should be reserved. Aries style of individuality at this time should be more in terms of your spiritual path. So things regarding your spiritual path and what you know is right and for you and your overall purpose and mission, that's where you use Aries individuality, which looks a lot more like necessarily what other people think, in the sense of, you know, not allowing your feelings to get involved in what other people think or what they think is right for you or their suggestions or their advice. But on the other end of things, the individuality on a more common basis, more so in Aquarius, make sure that you're an individual in the terms of what makes it's almost like what you're choosing to associate with. So making sure you're yourself doing things with others or in alignment with others. You know what I'm saying? Making sure you got your part in the whole mix, making sure you got your piece in the whole flow of things. That might be a little confusing, but if y'all get what I'm saying, then if when it comes to your spiritual path, yeah, fuck everybody. This is what I'm doing. Boom. But when it's to other things relating to just, it's like, relating to your time or your energy and your focus and stuff like that, you can still align with other people. You can still be associated with people. You're associated with your own mind in the mix. So you're not just doing group think. You're not just going with the flow. You're not just agreeing to any and everything. Things based upon what you know is say you got your piece and everything, if that makes sense. And then yeah, so that's the Taurus and trine and Jupiter. So yeah, like I said before, making sure there's no distractions there. Squaring Mars, we talked about a little bit, but so learning how to, it's almost like learning how to, it's learning how to relate or care about, or learning how to relate to it's either learning how to relate to the things you care about that deal with your passions, or learning how to manage. It's giving like a good time to like things are going to be trying you. So you got to learn how to manage your frustrations in general and understand what frustrations are coming from insecurities and personal problems versus what is actually something that needs to be addressed. Because there might be certain things you feel and you catch vibes, but if you're not addressing those, you might have to learn how do you relate to those things, because your relationship with your own frustration might be the reason why certain relationships or certain things aren't going the way that they should be going, or why you have a hard time in certain aspects are involved in things than not. So you might have to kind of do some investigation on that end. But also, even the way you go about relating your passions, it might be something in there that's the reason why people don't really connect or agree or want to what you do. So instead of taking it personal, you might have to do a little bit more work in that area, learn a little bit better about how to kind of leverage the two, how to not make it so personal, and also have maybe even how to relate it better. So the way you explain it, what you talk about, maybe even needing to be more listening, because you know how some people only talk about what they're into. You might have to learn how to care about what somebody else is talking about for the sake of learning how to back and receive. Because sometimes you could be so external and in a conversation, it's almost like you dominate others about what you're interested in. And again, you might just genuinely be excited, but you don't realize you cause a disconnect based upon your heavy-handedness when it comes to what you think. You might think you're always on a deeper subconscious level, and so it forces you to. It's like the way you act your energy out, it becomes heavy-handed. They're like, damn, why does it seem like nobody care about what I got going on, or why do people be off, or why do people treat me like, and you might not realize it's the way you're going about communication or relating what you're passionate about. You said, my own shadow pissing me off, people holding me accountable to old forms that I was irresponsible with, and assuring how I truly felt about the scenario being too logical. Sun opposed Chiron. Yeah, real talk, man. Yeah, you said people don't know how to accept. And the thing is, like, in people, the crazy thing, like when you, man, it go deep, because like people don't be knowing everybody, because it's easy from the external person to say, damn, you don't see yourself, or you don't got no awareness of this and stuff. And where that grace got to come in, where you got to give people the space to just be them sometimes and be honest with them. Be like, yo, I mean, hey, this is how I see it sometimes. But sometimes you got to be, it's like, this is how I see your energy. This is how I receive your energy, or this is how you come off. Telling somebody that. But sometimes, like, that grace you give somebody is that space for them to be them. It's almost like you have to still, you can't judge them all the time. Like, sometimes you can come from a space picking too, you're getting too detailed and you're picking too many things out, and it might even be your tone, the way, because you know how you can tell somebody something, it's almost like because of how you said it, now they don't want to even accept it. So they might very well know they act like that, but the way it gets it gets so deep because everybody's so sensitive, and it ain't nothing wrong with being sensitive, but we are often very aware of things that, I don't know, like we do. We often more touchy feely about what we know to be true. So like you say something, and it do affect people, even if it's not, because you got to think everybody got a sign, and the sun sign is how you see yourself and how you want to be seen. So somebody come around poking holes in that, regardless, it's gonna feel like, you know, unless that person is aware enough to catch themselves when it happens, to allow themselves to be vulnerable and open up and be like, what, yeah, I do act like that. And and the thing is, we don't make it no easier, people, in these relationships for that to happen, you know. But Zay said, which the lack of a kind of application makes me address my faith's reality, not wanting to get in reality about my faith. Real shit. He said, now my own shadow pissing me off, right? People holding accountable forms that I was responsible with, right? Certain how truly I felt about the scenario being too logical, right? Yeah, okay, I see that. He said Virgo to Pisces opposition, right? Yeah. because and that's the thing, like that accountability and all that stuff, because that has to be in play and more mature. That's why, like, again, maturity in spirit, like Sun opposed Chiron, even you saying that, like the mistakes we make, everybody got to make mistakes because we all are our own selves. So what we think is right and what we think is before, it's all subjective. And in the world of subjectivity, it's based upon where I'm standing in relation to someone else. But it's impossible to predict that, which is why we can't move in life as if we don't want to make mistakes. All we can really do is but be willing to, if I'm myself and I make a mistake, I can stand in that, knowing that that's me. And all I got to do is take accountability for those times in which that steps on someone else's toes. But at the same time, not everybody, it's almost like not everybody deserved that either. It's a discernment too on that level where, sometimes people was in my way. You know what I'm saying? Like it get real deep. Hold on, let me hit this quick. How do I run into people who are natural haters? They be mad because I'm too happy or too emotional. Like, damn, can I just be great? Yeah, like sometimes people see what you do and they wish they could do it too. I wouldn't be surprised if it be people who have issues with knowing how to make themselves happy, or depending on, what I'm saying, they don't know how to, like, they're like, why are you happy? And they don't know how to make themselves happy, so they gotta tear your happiness down to make them feel good. But like I was saying before, don't even help them. But they don't realize they in that cycle and even emotional. And attracting people like that is normal depending on your energy, because the things that make it's like you always gonna, you never know how, how they say you never know who's watching. It's like you also never really know who you rub wrong all the time. So when you just out being yourself, it's really no telling. But people usually, their actions always show you. So how people react to your natural state of what certain energies you be in, it'll show you how they feel. It's less about you though. It's really how they feel about themselves. So you don't really know why. It might be an insecurity. It might be something else. You don't know. That's where that grace come in, because it'd be irrelevant to you to spend too much time wondering about why they react to you like that, or why the people around you behave like that. Honestly, it ain't even worth your time. It just lets you know, damn, I'm around people who must hate themselves. So you could take that two ways. You could just completely separate yourself, or you could look at yourself as the example, as the only one. And don't get, not, I don't say this to be egotistical or to give you ideas of that, but you are the inspiration, you are the example for them. So you being you in the face of that. And again, I'm not saying to be a martyr, and because see, when people become martyrs, that's because they take that kind of ideology as a ego, and they say, "Oh, I can be the example of walking the high road." And I'm not saying that, because you could throw your life away like that too. You abandon your purpose and just get validated off of being in the funny, ironic part is, in the end, because you did it with the wrong pretenses, that'll lead you to destroy yourself too. But you know, you the representation of that. When people come to you and they start hating, and like V said, be magic thieves and trying to take your energy and shit like that, a lot of all of that is from envy. All of that is see, or and I don't even want to say it's just envy, because there's a lot of things you never know what somebody be going through in their own 24 that has nothing to do with you. Like I said, it has everything to do with how they see themselves, and you're just a representation of what they see every day. You know what I'm saying? So of course they're gonna give you a certain energy. But again, like I said, it's up to you to decide based upon your boundaries. Shout out to uh was it Issa Isis? Yeah, shout out to ISIS. You've been saying that all along. The boundaries, it's either up to you to decide, hey, let me completely separate because that goes against what I want, that contract with myself, that I don't want to manifest more of this, or you decide that in that context, in that particular space, it's more beneficial for you to be the example and for you to lead the way. And that times like that is more so in association when you dealing with, say, family members that you can tell are just ignorant or don't necessarily mean any harm, but that you care about them enough to show them the way, and they show signs of them being willing to learn from you. Or it might even be in the face of your, let's say, your purpose, things that you're here to do, that you in that space, you energies like that. A lot of times, if it's in between you and your ability to do what you know you're supposed to do, then yeah, that's another representation of, oh, I need to be the example to change the minds of others. And again, that's not even your purpose. You're just the example. It's there to do you. And by default, what happens as a byproduct is you become, because after a certain while of somebody throwing salt, they all gonna get tired. They're gonna be like, why am I even doing this if it's not affecting them? So people come around. You know what I'm saying? He said most people are bogged down by expectation, and you're breaking them in front. Yeah, exactly. You man, being yourself and going through certain expensive stuff like that, you don't realize you force people by default face their own shortcomings and stuff. And that's a lot of times what even happens in a relationship. Like, back to the table thing, when you're both coming into a relationship with the willingness to bring your best self, or and again, you're not always going to be able to bring your best self, but you come with the intentions to be who you are, and be real, and you're willing and you're committed to that. You're going to be challenged in ways that force you to get up out of certain things that made you so comfortable before. You're going to be, and the a lot of relationships turn sour when one or the other isn't prepared to face those things that keep them from being their best. Because it's almost like I said before, like when people, you can't see everything. Like I always say, like, you can't see your back. You know what I'm saying? So being that you can't see your back, that's what a relationship ends up being. The person you're relating with can see all the things you can't see, so they're gonna entice those things to the surface. And if you're not strong enough to face them when they come, you are going to fall into the categories we see of people self-sabotaging a relationship. Y'all know what that looked like: deciding to cheat, deciding to avoid certain conflict, or deciding to put themselves in compromising position, and all these different things that in the you know ridiculous expressions of themselves, where it's like they don't even make sense for you to create a problem out of this, person who's just not willing to face themselves and stuff. And then it gets deep for people, and it's scary, because on both ends, it's a constant questioning of whether or not it's worth it, whether or not you're going to be compensated, whether or not it's going to be balanced or work out in the end. But that's where, again, that I can't even guide people through that. Um, you know, Best I could do is do a consultation, but that's a decision people got to make for themselves, whether or not they're going to choose to, like I was saying in the very beginning of the live, make love, make it happen, make it work. That's all a choice. You know what I'm saying? And again, a lot of people look at that and don't want to make the choice, or are afraid to the point where, again, it becomes something that, yeah, becomes a problem later on. You say, I like that, prepared, rather than saying they're not capable. Yeah, yeah, prepared, yeah. And it'll be a perspective thing, because you know, and but see, that lets you know, like, a lot of people really do see it like that. Like, people look at certain situations and just be like, they give up and stuff. And that's why I was saying about the Pisces Virgo axis, about you know all the details and the work and the consistency, and doing things on a day to day. A lot of that can't happen if you don't believe it's capable. A lot of that won't happen if you don't believe that you can actually achieve the goal you set out to do. And that's a fundamental issue that a lot of people, that's a mentality thing that people just don't even be aware of in their own life. You know what I'm saying? The thing in everything I'm saying too, even in regards to a relationship, is, again, it's got to be choices on both parties. Like, if one or the other doesn't feel like they can actually do something, that's the best thing they can do is be honest about that and separate at that point. You know what I'm saying? You said, fuck giving up. I'm doubling down on the Lulu. Right. But in a band-aid sense, right? Create love within, find it without, even if it wears a different face. Right. And that's why Virgo energy needs the Pisces shit, where Venus is, because there's times in which, again, like I said, if you're going to work every day and you're doing it on a routine schedule, them times where you just can't do your best, that grace you got to be to yourself, that consideration, that care, that loving energy that just holds and embraces you and just accepts the fact that, hey, you know what I'm saying, we still on this path. And again, like honestly, if you think about failing, the resilience that comes from being able to handle failure and rejection and stuff really is that Pisces energy. Like all that other stuff, being prepared, doing this and working on this and being strong and being disciplined, all of that is fine and dandy. That you can associate that with Virgo, but at the end of the day, there's going to come a time in which you need to rest, and you might not know what's going on, and you might feel like, damn, I'm failing, I'm falling short. But that's when that Pisces energy comes to soothe you and be like, yo, but just have faith. Some things can't be rushed. Some things can't happen it can't always happen the way you barely ever will. But and that's the truth of things. Anything you ever plan never goes according to plan, step by step, anytime. Expectations we develop never happen the way we want. But that's where Pisces teaches it doesn't have to be perfect. The fact, if we put the right efforts in the right places, it will all come together at the end. And that's when we go with the flow. Of course, too much of that can lead to lostness and all over the place, but that's what it's for. Like you said, like a band-aid. I think that's a great analogy. Right. And the band-aid eventually falls off. Right. When it's no longer useful to protect yourself in that illusion must die. That illusion, or that, because that's what faith really is. Faith is the illusion of faith is like the illusion of having something you haven't gotten yet. So if you think about it, the point of faith is not to stay in a perpetual state of believing and being. The point of faith is to inspire you to actually go get it. People think faith is something they want to live in. You don't live in faith. You utilize faith for what it's for. But the goal is to reach the goal, not to stay waiting and yearning and, oh, one day, well, you know what I'm saying? That's what makes it difficult even for anybody in this world and stuff like that, especially people who got dreams and ideas that's bigger than life in itself. You know what I'm saying? You can't even do all that in a lifetime, but you dream for it. You're trying to work towards it. That's why they say you got to focus on small wins. You got to create a schedule, deadlines for yourself to keep you motivated, to keep that faith in context. Virgo is a anchor. You know what I'm saying? Right. Weight adds weight. Right. Shit. Man, that boy a Virgo samurai. He become, yeah, right. Shit. But that's exactly what it is. All that waiting around and stuff like that, it makes it heavy. It makes it hard for others to do too. If they waiting too long. But also, again, you still have to acknowledge what is coming as a result, what is here, what is present. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. But let's see what else. Virgo, we talking about Virgo, yeah, Gemini, Cancer. No, we not talking about Virgo, we talking about Libra. And Virgo, Sun, Mercury. Oh, okay, yeah, you feel, yeah, you already know. You already know. You probably, man, somebody come around talking about faith. Faith. Like what? I can't wait that long. But yeah, but it's good. Like back to Libra. Let's see, yeah, we talked about Cancer, we talked about Leo, London, Leo, Virgo energy right next to it. So, when we think about he said faith is all I have. Really, I feel you. Hey, you know, uh and see, the thing is, when you go through times where say, that's when you realize, like, damn, like, and if you think about it on a spiritual level, that's some of the truest shit ever, because it's like all of this is nothing, it's something out of nothing. If you can't generate something on your own, you really never had it in the beginning, and you really never had it if you can't generate it on your own. And that's kind of one of the things. That's why, like, again, love and grieving is the same. It's a similar process. You know what I'm saying? You love some. If you can't create that love, if you don't have a sense of love, well, consider yourself in a deficit, because as time goes on, you lose that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what drives people to kind of react the way they do in very toxic ways, because it's scary. And it's like those people move as if they are gonna die tomorrow. Like when you see people really do certain things, that's just like, oh my god, like, why would you do something like that? Like, with if you put 20 people, anybody, in a emergency room, and you say, hey, you got X amount of hours or X amount of days to live, That's when you see what a person truly is. And there's two types of people. There's going to be people who get up out of that and decide to be the best them they ever been, all the things they wish to do, and be kind and love and put all that energy into the world. And then there's going to be people who shrink into themselves, either lock themselves, become just poison to everybody else around them. You know what I'm saying? Because they can't deal with their mortality, and they'll do anything in that moment to snatch things. And again, a lot of it for reasons that you would say, oh, that's not, like that Breaking Bad dude who was like, oh, I'm finna die, so I'm finna go out, make this money. I don't care who I gotta take it for this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? You see a person when they are faced with their own mortality. But when you are real spirit and you've already, you know what death is, death is a transition, then it puts on your mind better thoughts to be like, well, let me instead fulfill my time with the energies I want to experience, the things I want to put out into the world, the things I want to be seen. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, it gets deep, you know what I'm saying? But back to Libra going into, so Libra, I think we still have what after Libra is Scorpio. So we already talked about Venus. We already talked about nothing is in Sag. Then we got Capricorn. We talked about Pluto, that square, and then we got Aquarius. Yeah, and then Pisces again. Yeah, so the in conjunction, and then back to Aries. So that's all the alignments and stuff. For the most part, though, so the moon currently is in Gemini, just got into Gemini. So this is it's an introductory trine. Again, the thing about the moon in Gemini, we just try not to get too distracted. Try not to, again, airheaded energy. Don't just agree to everything right now. Have a little bit of this, have that discernment. Think stuff through a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Don't just agree with everything, because everything gonna sound like a good idea with the trine, with the sun and Saturn, especially coming off the Virgo energy. A lot of people was constricted by responsibilities and maybe what they had to get under control. But right now, that energy, like, oh, I just want to jump up and go. But before you jump up and go, make sure it's leading to something that's beneficial, or, has signs in it that show that it can pour back into you, rather than you just jumping in and assigning yourself to something that when the moon gets into Cancer, you're going to start questioning, like, well, why do I actually care about this? You know what I'm saying? Because remember, we in Libra now. So when the moon slides into Cancer, you're going to start to think like, hold on, I agreed to something and I actually don't care about it. If you fake the funk with the moon is in Cancer and you agree to something, well, congratulations, you signed yourself to plant bad seeds, because you're going to that's the thing. You're going to start to feel the people pleaser energy of Libra and want to just be relatable. I don't care about it, but you know what? For the sake of being nice and say, now you signed a contract. You got to look at Libra as you're constantly signing contracts. So do not sign no shit you don't want to be responsible for, because it's just going to be, you said sage advice. Yeah, you do not sign nothing you don't want to be a part of. It's going to lock you in. Because and locked in again, that's that Scorpio energy. So you might in Libra's funny because you might be agreeable this whole season. You know what I'm saying? You said, hold on. Yeah, but you might be. Hold on. Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh, shit, I gotta reply to that. All right. My bad. But yeah, you might Libra have you being agreeable the whole 30 days, all up into Scorpio, and now you got to do some dramatic, catastrophic shit, transformative, exposing energy to get you out of something that you agreed to. And if again, remember, you agreed to it, you signed the contract. So if you were to break that contract, you in violation. So that plays out on an actual level of metaphysical, spiritual, physical level of you looking like the bad guy, you being guilty for something being your fault, aka you psyched everybody up to believe you was with something and then you switched up, and that creates a ripple that hurts your reputation, that does a lot of things that can kind of make stuff difficult for you later on. And let's say you decide to still lie to yourself and still continue on that energy. Scorpio is gonna make you have to, it's gonna drag you to the depths to where you gonna have some behind the scenes energy that will become it'll build up, it'll build up, and then when Sagittarius comes, certain things gonna come to light and you might be exposed come that time. And remember, during December, November, that's when a lot of these go direct. So don't set yourself up, just rip the cord and start now, because there ain't no strings attached right now. Ain't nothing, you know what I'm saying? You got a clean slate, unless you already got things you committed to. Now if you already got things you committed to, this is the time where you can handle out that business and get that squared away and not just be caught up in the mix later on. So just be wise about that aspect of things. um when it comes to yeah, that's just something for y'all to be aware of. Now yeah, this Gemini energy, it'll easily get you wrapped up in just agreeing with stuff. So just be, pump the brakes, make sure that you're not just being agreeable. Actually ask yourself if this is something you with or not, and do your research. You know what I'm saying? Search looking like, ask questions. Don't just agree. Ask questions. Ask the important questions, not just and then actually listen. You know what I'm saying? Listen and respond. And no, don't just be responding to everything. Listen to what's being interpret the information. Don't be airheaded about it. Listen and engage with. Still be present. Mercury is in Virgo, so we still have access to details and the ability to break information down in a way that is less about being harmonious. You know what I'm saying? Make it your priority to make sure you're protected in what you're going into and you have the facts. That's going to make you a better transition moving forward. And you might feel awkward about doing that. Mercury squares Cancer. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Mercury squares not Cancer. Mercury squares damn, what was I saying? Mercury and Virgo squares Jupiter and the moon. That's really what it's going to be. So Mercury square the moon, Mercury and Virgo square Gemini, it's gonna be like you have to learn how to ask the right questions, because that's the thing. The moon gonna make you feel like, oh, I just want to go along with it because the conversation going so smooth, and I really don't want to ruffle feathers, and I want to be harmonious. I want to relate. Boom. So the moon will have you thinking the right thing to do is just to go along with whatever is going on. But yeah. Plus one, yeah, that's one aspect of it. But the other aspect is going to be, again, that square with Mercury, Mercury and Virgo saying no, no, no. You need to ask for those details. You need to slow it down. You need to get the information correct, because if you don't, it's going to lead to something you don't want to be a part of. Shit like that. Um, the moon in Gemini also going to sextile the North Node in Aries. So opportunities for you to feel comfortable communicating more about your spiritual path. But again, one thing about communication, not everybody really need to know all your moves and everything you're trying to do. So again, don't fall into the gossip trap. Somebody said something interesting too about when we talk about our goals, it convinces us that we actually did them. And that is the dopamine spike. And see, when the dopamine is gone, it's a form of instant gratification. If I talk about all my goals, I get the gratification as if I did it, but I didn't actually do it. So when it comes time to actually do the work, you're less motivated and less likely to actually follow through with what it is that you can do. So you might have to learn how to, shut up, for you might have to learn how to not just spill the beans on everything. You know what I'm saying? You might have to learn how to take things in and be a little more decisive about who you share things, what you share. Try to make sure you commit to getting things done before you just go ahead yapping and stuff like that. That's going to benefit you in the long term. Um, the moon is going to be, let me see, yeah, Pisces is going to be squaring Saturn and Pisces, and so having to learn and deal with communicating or thinking through still thinking about reality in terms of your faith, like how much faith you have into what you're doing, your reality and what's going on. Try not to allow yourself to overthink about whether something is going to work or not. It's cool to assess things in the information, but just recognize when your mind is looking at things from a negative point of view. Because again, let's say you wake up and you can feel that the day is like a negative day. You kind of on the more negative side of energy. Don't allow that to determine what your reality is. Don't let that bully you into creating more doubt around what it is that you want to actually do. Whether you want to do it or it's like if you decided that you want to do something, that's all you really need to go and continue to do it. Don't use that as an excuse to not go forward and kind of keep you in that limbo space. Some days we have just bad days where we're on the negative side of things. We're emotional and we're more in our feelings about certain things. We're more unsure. Don't let that be the reason why you choose to give up on something. Just put that to the side on the back burner. You might have to do something else that day. You might have to take a rest and, let that sit. Understand that these feelings pass. Like I was saying before, you can feel into something, but at that point, if you realize it's not going to help you, it's not going to motivate you to do more, it's not going to keep you focused on what you want to do, it's going to put you in a space where you want to be at, let that pass, let it go. You know what I'm saying? Because all of it is going to pass. So let those feelings pass. Don't get too caught up on certain that you don't understand, because you might be feeling something and try to figure it out, but can't quite put your finger on why you feel that way. Table that shit for now. You know what I'm saying? Not every emotion needs to be dissected on that level. Sometimes we don't have enough awareness about what we feel to decipher what it actually is. So attach to it, let it pass, and then the information 9 times out of 10 will be revealed in time. Some things we just have to let go. Um, Again, a lot of this energy is about how we relate to ourselves. So, that's all that really matters at the end of the day. You know. Then what else? The moon in Gemini, sextile Leo energy. No, no, no. Yeah, we talked about, yeah, in conjunct with Pisces, trine with Aries. Also not trine with Aries, sextile with Aries. It's also a sextile with Chiron. The moon style Chiron, opportunities to think through mistakes, add a little bit more context to mistakes. Again, it's also hitting Jupiter too. So we've been learning less mistakes, a lot of things that can help us move forward, help us develop our ways of going about things. So take that into consideration. Again, please apply that to what you try to evolve yourself in. Don't just do things blindly, or because you want to make somebody feel good. um Aries, Gemini, I mean, yeah, that conjuncting, yeah, oh yeah, feelings are going to be expanded. Moon conjunct Jupiter, so again, you're be expanded, but remember it's still an air sign, so it might just sound in the moment, and you might get excited off of how it sounds and what you think about the experience, but it don't mean that you got to do it. So take a little to figure things out for yourself. um Gemini, Cancer affecting that, and then we have, yeah, Leo, Virgo, Libra itself, Trine. And then we got Scorpio, Sag. Oh, Venus, yeah, Moon in conjunct Venus. So again, that's another thing with that Venus energy. Like I say about being locked into something, Venus is going to start to whisper. So you know that's something, depending on where you at and who around you, is just listen to what people saying. Like I said before, what's going to help you is the sextile that Venus is making with Mercury, which is getting the facts. Get the facts, ask questions, invest it for yourself before you assume. You know what I'm saying? But hold, what I'm saying, you can, the things that are meant to stay smooth, the things that you're involved in, all your current love matters that's actually making sense, is supposed to be there. It has the potential to deepen action. That's what Venus in Scorpio can do. On a positive end, it can make, it's like Venus in a state where it can make it very deep and very secure, you know what I'm saying, and very powerful. And that's transformative type of love and appreciation. But make sure it's rooted in the right things. What's going to help that is just getting the information, getting the facts, asking questions. um on the negative end, it's going to be people trying to get what they desire based upon what you appreciate, what you love. So you got to check your own things that you appreciate, and make sure that you're not being manipulated by it based upon how bad you want it. Again, desperation energy and stuff like that. Making sure you're not obsessed with something to the point where you overlook just the things that are that the negative, and take the negatives. Like, one thing about Venus Scorpio, you got to Venus and Scorpio really want to take you to the most negative things so they can get an idea of how bad it can actually get. And so you don't have to do that though. Like that's why Venus has a hard time there, because it's like it didn't have to be that serious. But on the positive end, like if you are able to go that deep, if they can take you to that point, that extreme, then at that point it's like, to them, they understand, okay, we really locked in. It's really this. Because really with Scorpio energy, it's always trying to uncover the depth of something. So it damn near wanna bring you to the brink of death to see if you really locked in how it needs to be locked in. Because you know what I'm saying, it's a committed energy. So that commitment could be positive though, to know how deep something is connected. That's powerful, but it also can be unnecessary. Go to the extreme and do certain things that's like toxic. It's rooted in insecurity. If it's rooted in the wrong things, and the wrong desires, obsessing, overdoing, overindulging in a certain desire, then it can look like toxic shit. Like, oh no, this is too much. It never had to be this serious. But I say that to say Venus in conjunction is, don't let that curiosity lead you off a bridge. You know what I'm saying? Don't let that tempt you into doing something that ain't right for you in your situation and what you claim to say you want to manifest for yourself, or what you want to embody. Make sure everything, again, what's the other one? Integrity. Now is one of the most powerful times. It's like, please still apply your integrity. We was talking about integrity back in Leo season. Hey, it's back. We in the sextile to Leo and Libra. So we have to, I always look at sextiles as times what we developed in seasons. That sextile, the previous season, is stuff, opportunities, gifts that we can bring into this current time that actually can help. And so part of what we was developing back then was a sense of integrity. And hey, right now more than ever, it matters, because that moon starts to feel misunderstand certain pleasures, and like, how do I get that? You know what I'm saying? So try to, especially if you're in a situation where you are working towards something, again, delayed gratification, something that you're working towards, but you start to ask those questions like, why I ain't got that yet? Let's say you've been working towards having a certain amount of money. You might be like, man, why the money still moving slow? Don't let that inspire you or tempt you into doing something that would take a risk that you don't have to take, or take some kind of risk, or be bold in an area that ain't really your strong suit. You know what I'm saying? Based upon desire, so just chill out a little bit, especially being that we in a waning period. In this waning period, we really need to be more so sitting back and assess what the new development of this energy really means. And based upon all the work we did during the previous moon cycle, it should be enough to carry us through. And these things should be things we're adding to our awareness, that we're able to now let go of other things. Yeah, okay, I see where I can let go of that. I see where I can accept this. I see where I can, things like that. Um, yeah, Venus, Scorpio, says Capricorn. It's another in conjunction with Pluto, moon in conjunct Pluto. So misunderstanding how we got to transform. Again, remember, we are moving into a new season. So it's going to feel like, ooh, let me get involved in this. Let me get involved in that. But the moon, right, how we feel, we might not, we might misunderstand how that is going to affect our transformation. We might misunderstand how signing a contract is going to create limits on our power and control. So that's the biggest thing. Don't let your feelings and your excitement or your curiosity lead you to relinquishing your control and power, giving it away to something based upon a desire, or based upon you not getting all the facts, you not knowing what you signing. You didn't know that, yeah, that contract you signed, that record deal you signed, yeah, they said they was gonna front you 3 million, but you didn't know that came with a clause that said we got your life rights and stuff. Like, you didn't know that you didn't know that when you signed that bad boy, it was gonna come with X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna get into detail. You didn't know that contract with bad boy was gonna set you up to get your, you know what I'm saying, to get your snatch. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? So you got to be aware of that. But I again, I make a note, but it's relevant to just what you're engaging with on a day-to-day basis in your everyday life. Don't sign away your rights, something that's going to get you locked into something you don't want to be committed to. It's the underlying basis. Yep, and that's cap. Because it will be transformative. You know what I'm saying? Type shit. You're right. It will be transformative. You will not be the same ever again. And Gemini's easy for that. It'll set you up and then laugh later and stuff like that. You don't want to be on the other. We supposed to laugh at Gemini. When Gemini laughing at us, it's because we fucked up. We supposed to be laughing at Gemini. They the jester. They the jokester. You know, it's a trickster and stuff like that. But that's the thing. They the jokester. But if they laughing at you, oh, that's when they become the trickster. Now you the trick. Don't be the trick. More than Gemini, you messed up right now. Yeah. Aquarius, and then Aquarius, and then Pisces. We talked about Pisces. Yeah, Moon squaring that energy. So learning how to think through those illusions too. Woo! The longest live I done never did, man. I appreciate y'all for coming through. You know what I'm saying? We had some really good conversation and shit like that. I'm gonna figure out what's going on with this connection thing. I might have to figure out some things with Wi-Fi. I might have to do stuff at the crib now. I don't know. But we gonna figure that out. I appreciate you with y'all. I appreciate y'all rocking with me regardless though. And we're gonna keep things running and stuff like that. So hope everybody has a beautiful Libra season. Shout out to all the Libra sun moons. Right, you said like Trump, he a joke, right? When he laughing, there's something wrong. But yeah, like I said, man, I hope y'all have a beautiful Libra season. Shout out to all the Libra, Sun, Moon, Ascendants. Y'all be cool. Y'all be easy. Figure out better ways to relate so that you can make more positive and beneficial relations to others and things like that. And let's keep spreading some good knowledge and proper ways to go about life and stuff like that so that the world can change to be a better place. Make sure y'all hit that. I'm gonna put it in the description for the women's each one teach one. Y'all do not want to miss that. And matter of fact, if you signed up already, please do me a favor and send us an email at info@gmail.com because Google tripping. We can't inform and shit. So if y'all are interested, just send us a direct email saying you interested. That'll be a lot easier and stuff like that. And we'll make sure y'all get all the paperwork and stuff so that we can get these classes on the road. They're starting in October. So y'all want to make sure y'all get on that ASAP. Much love. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.